Welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen, to What If Naruto was Chosos' reincarnation. Now, I know this video was supposed to come out a long time ago, and the reason will be up on screen now for those of you that actually care. But for those of you guys that are just here to watch the video, do all the usual YouTube stuff, seeing as it helps the video do so much better on the channel, and I promise you it will be worth it, because you can be doing your laundry, cleaning, doing your homework, or taking a long drive, and I promise you, you will be entertained. But with no further ado from me, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy. We begin our story to a young Naruto playing alongside some of the village kids, and as the game would be coming to an end, this is when suddenly some of the parents would get nearby, scowling at their children and then giving Naruto a stare that could only say, scum, as they would march to the direction of their children, grabbing them by the wrists and dragging them away. Naruto watching on as they would scold their kids, telling them that they should never play with that boy, that he's demon possessed, although while Naruto would fall to the ground and think, don't go. Just sitting there to watch as most of the villagers would stare at Naruto with disgust, nobody having any sympathy for him. And as Naruto would get up and rub his knees, he would notice a bit of blood. Limping home as arriving to the kitchen, Naruto would take out one of his little first med kits, holding out a bandage, as Naruto would notice that the blood kept pouring out, and as Naruto would wipe at it over and over, he would just get frustrated. I mean, how could such a small little wound create this much blood? Leaving Naruto to stop and grab at it, thinking, I wish this thing would stop, as suddenly the blood itself would stop moving, which would be strange because it's not like the blood stopped coming out, but the blood itself quite literally stopped. Gravity was pulling the little blood drop down, but it wasn't moving, leaving Naruto with a strange sensation. For some reason, Naruto felt as though he was controlling the blood, like it was moving at his whim. And then Naruto would say, go, leaving the blood to start flowing down once more, shocking Naruto, who after then grabbing a rag and wetting it and putting it on his leg, he would finally stop the blood, a little scab forming. As Naruto getting up, he would immediately rush to the Hokage's office, eager to tell him about this ability that he just discovered of his, controlling blood. Naruto not really knowing the full extent of this, but thinking that it's pretty cool. But as Naruto would sit there in the waiting area, just trying to get attention of Hiruzen, even for just 5 minutes, Naruto would be left to wait for hours, eventually getting so frustrated that Naruto decides, screw it, I'm just gonna go see him myself, running up the building as an Anbu member would stop him and tell him to go back to the waiting area, that Hiruzen may see him today or he may not, leaving Naruto upset as he would just go home, deciding that if Hiruzen's too busy to see him, then he'll be too busy to show him his cool new powers. Going home where Naruto would think, alright, I'll use these abilities one more time, but then realizing, oh wait, I need blood. And as Naruto would think about this, he would start to think that maybe testing these abilities aren't that cool. I mean, if he has to cut himself, it won't really help him out too much. But Naruto would get really impatient, and through boredom, he eventually makes his way to the kitchen, where grabbing a little sickle, little knife thing, Naruto would poke at one of his fingers. Wincing for a moment, as Naruto, looking at the blood drop, would start to kind of try to move it like it was a telekinetic blood drop or something, beginning to actually play around with the blood mid-air as it would start bending to his movements. Naruto doing that thing that I'm pretty sure we can all relate to, where when we go to a pool or something like that, we start acting like we're water benders or something like that. And as Naruto would play with this blood drop, Naruto would form it into the size of a ball, thinking that this is pretty cool. Playing with it and getting more and more control over this small little orb of blood, as Naruto would think himself to have had just created some sort of cool blood jutsu, thinking that there must be somebody else with this ability and that he can't be that special. But with him not really being the smartest of people and not wanting to go to the library, and Hiruzen being too busy to pretty much talk to about this power, Naruto would kind of just keep this ability secret for himself, and never discover any more uses for this power outside of just playing with a little ball of blood, like a very, very minuscule one, might I add. So Naruto, all in all, would pretty much end up forgetting this ability until the first year of Naruto's time in the academy, where Iruka would be talking about Kekkei Genkais, explaining to the class that the way that jutsu works is that there's essentially 5 elements, at least the basics ones: earth, fire, water, lightning, and wind. Leaving Naruto to raise his hand as Iruka would be like, yes Naruto, what is it? Naruto being like, is blood one of them? Iruka just being like, now Naruto, now's not the time for games, as the rest of the class would laugh at Naruto and say, good one, leaving Naruto to be like, yeah, I was joking, of course, as Iruka would go on to explain Kekkei Genkais. As he would do this, Naruto would start thinking to himself that might be what it is, a Kekkei Genkai. Yeah, The Uzumaki clan must be some really cool bloodbenders or something like that. Naruto kind of like formulating his own answer in his mind as he decides that maybe that little parlor trick that he created a long time ago could be used for different things. So from that day, Naruto would start training on this ability, deciding to take things a lot more seriously as Naruto would discover a couple of uses for this power. Number 1, it allows Naruto to actually manipulate the blood inside of his body, allowing him to supercharge it and essentially function as though he was opening one of the gates. Number 2, Naruto can compress his blood to such a degree to where Naruto's capable of actually blasting it as though it was a projectile. And number 3, which is the most simple one of all, Naruto's capable of creating weapons with his own blood. With Naruto typically being the best at supercharging his blood and creating weapons, but not really having gotten the hang of the actual projectiles quite yet, just because concentrating the blood to such a degree where Naruto's able to shoot it out as pressurized as ever is still one of the things that Naruto's been working on. Remember, he's only had about 2 years to work on this, seeing as his time at the academy would have been 3 to 4 years. I don't know, it escapes me at the moment, but the point is that Naruto hasn't exactly had too much time to work on this ability, but he'll definitely have a chance to show it off, because we're pretty much going to be zooming into the day where Naruto and Sasuke would be having their friendly spar in the class, Iruka getting everybody outside, as he would go on to create the pairings, Naruto facing off against Sasuke, as the class would pretty much go up in an uproar, all of the girls being happy that not only are they going to get to see Sasuke fight, but they're going to see him beat up on the demon child. With Naruto making his way towards the center and staring down Sasuke with a lot of jealousy flowing through his heart. I mean, to keep in mind, in this timeline, Naruto's been working so hard to even try to catch up to Sasuke. And here comes Sasuke, who in Naruto's eyes hasn't had to do anything, and he's just loved and admired by everybody else. So the moment that this battle would start, Naruto would smirk grabbing at a kunai, Sasuke doing so as well, as he would begin to lunge at Naruto, but he would stop short, realizing that Naruto wasn't aiming it at him, he was aiming it at himself, cutting a significant chunk of his arm as blood would start pouring out, and in an instant the blood would stop before then shaping itself into the weapon that Shredder has in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, shocking Sasuke and the rest of the class as Naruto throws the kunai at his direction and then tells everybody to watch this. But before anything could happen, Iruka would get in the middle of both boys, telling Naruto to stop it, ordering Naruto to explain this ability, with Naruto telling him that he's getting in the way. They're supposed to have a friendly spar, right? He's just using his Kekkei Genkai to get ahead. Everybody being like, Kekkei Genkai? As the class would be shocked, and Sasuke, looking at Naruto, would be stunned. He has a Kekkei Genkai? And he awakened it before me, Sasuke would think? All the while Naruto would be looking at the ground, upset at the fact that he didn't get to show anything for what he just did. The blood immediately seeping back into Naruto's own body, as he would turn away from Iruka, telling him to get out of his way, running out from the academy pissed as ever, because he just stopped his big moment. Since Naruto had been planning for years now to basically show off this ability once he got a better hang of it, and now that he finally had, here comes Iruka to ruin everything. It's just typical, Naruto would think, as he would be on top of the Hokage monument. And with minutes passing, this is when Naruto, simply just staring off, he would be thinking to himself when this stupid village would finally accept him, as a man with grey hair and an Anbu mask would appear to his right, telling him that the Hokage summons him, Naruto saying that the Hokage can go to hell, he's busy right now. Kakashi smiling, as he would chop Naruto with the back of the neck and leap off of the actual Hokage statue, rushing Naruto to the side of Hiruzen, as Naruto would be awoken by him, and he would ask him what is it exactly that he hears about him having a Kekkei Genkai. Naruto turning away as he would tell him that he would have known about it if he would make time for him. Hiruzen noting that Naruto's right, as he would then go on to sit down and tell him, well Naruto, I'm here to listen. Naruto going on to explain that it happened a couple of years ago, telling him that he discovered that he can manipulate his own blood. He doesn't know everything that he can do, but for now he can do this at least, creating a weapon out of his own blood, as he would then go on to create a pressurized blast of blood towards the direction of Hiruzen's window, breaking it as Hiruzen would smile, turning to Naruto and telling him that that's an interesting Kekkei Genkai, outwardly smiling, as inwardly he would just be thinking about where he could have possibly gotten this. Kushina didn't have something like this and neither did Minato, so where did this stem from? But as he would then realize that Naruto has this ability nonetheless, he would then think that it could be a possibility of the Nine Tails, but Kushina had the Nine Tails and she never displayed this. So, then turning to Naruto, he would pretty much go on to tell Naruto that he apologizes for Iruka's outburst earlier, telling him to work hard on this ability and use it to become an exceptional shinobi. Naruto telling him that that's exactly what he plans on doing. Naruto leaving the room as he would make his way towards his usual training spot using his blood manipulation, with the only person that sees Naruto and knows about this being Hinata, because she would obviously still be watching Naruto like she would be expected to. And with more time passing, we're eventually able to get to a day where they would be having 1v1 battles once more. Naruto this time being faced off against Shino, who would use an army of mosquitoes to attack Naruto, them all draining his blood, as Naruto standing there almost smiling would pour blood so fast into the mosquitoes that they would actually try to drain him of it that they would literally explode. Naruto taking the same blood that the mosquitoes would have taken from him mid-air, as Naruto standing there closing his eyes concentrating hard as ever, would then cause all the droplets to clump up into one gigantic ball. Naruto closing his hands more and more and more as the ball would grow smaller and smaller and smaller, compressing to a degree where Naruto finally aiming at Shino would blast it, sending the blood going straight through 3 trees, with Shino narrowly having managed to avoid that. Him laying on the ground just looking up to see the devastation behind him, as Iruka would call the match and say Naruto's the winner. From here, Naruto would smirk and walk away, not really saying much after that, since this version of Naruto's changed ever since discovering this ability and beginning to work on it, thinking that this is the thing that makes him special. And since Naruto can see an end goal and thinks that this ability might leave him to achieve his goals, there's no reason to try to stand out through other means. His ability will make him stand out on his own. So as Naruto would make his way towards the rest of the class, they would walk away in fear, being shocked. Dude, you're not even hurt a bit? You just had over 100 mosquitoes sucking your blood. Naruto turning to them and telling him that he's not, with Shikamaru saying that he should have caught some sort of disease. All those mosquitoes can't be a good thing. Naruto telling him that the blood is safe and sound back where it belongs, glowing a slight reddish hue as you could actually see the veins and the blood inside of him, as Naruto would kind of just make his way towards the back of the class, continuing not to say anything as he would watch on at Sasuke's performance, seeing him easily take down Kiba, who he would have been matched up against, with Naruto thinking that Sasuke's pretty good, but he's slowly catching up. And with both boys comparing each other to the other, they would be staring each other down, almost as if to declare war on each other. Sasuke still thinking himself is better, as he would walk away, leaving Naruto to think that he'll catch up. One day, he'll be his equal, if not stronger. With time passing by and us eventually getting to the point in the story where we would have the Chunin final exam coming up, the Genin final exam coming up. Naruto failing much like in the original due to the fact that he wasn't able to create the clone jutsu. So with Naruto sitting towards the back of the class knowing that his abilities are pretty much second to none in this class, he's still gonna fail because he can't make a stupid clone jutsu. Him smashing his hand on the desk as Mizuki sensei would walk towards him and tell him, "Hey Naruto, I know you're upset about not becoming a Genin, but you know what? There is a way you just might be able to pull it off. There's a secret exam. If you're somehow able to steal the Hokage scroll, well, you'll prove yourself more than capable of being a Genin, wouldn't you agree?" Naruto nodding as Mizuki would say, "Great, well meet me on the rooftop of this building in about 3 hours, and I'll explain the rest of the exam." Naruto meeting him as Iruka would break down everything that he was plotting, telling Naruto to meet him at this location with a scroll of ceilings. So with Naruto doing exactly that and going on to learn the same exact clone jutsu that he would have in the original, the multi-shadow one, as he would wait for Mizuki to arrive, only to see Iruka as Naruto leaping up would tell him that he did exactly what he needed. Now he wants his headband. Iruka yelling at him as he would tell him that he's an idiot. Why would he go on and steal the scroll of ceiling? Naruto telling him that he's just passing the exam, as Mizuki's voice would echo out and he would say, "That's right, Naruto, you're just passing an exam, so give me the scroll and I'll make sure to give you your headband." Naruto looking up at Mizuki in confusion as he would see Iruka getting between the two of them, telling Mizuki that he's a monster. How could he manipulate Naruto like this, he would say. Mizuki saying, "Naruto, just give me the scroll. Don't listen to Iruka." Iruka fighting for Naruto as Mizuki would then throw the demon wind shuriken at him. And much like in the original, Naruto would watch on as Iruka would take the gigantic shuriken, staring on in shock as Mizuki would explain his identity as the nine-tailed fox, landing on the ground next to him as he would tell him that it's no issue whether he wants to give it to him or not, since he doesn't mind prying it from his dead corpse, rushing at Naruto and slashing at Naruto, cutting him wide open as blood would begin pouring out of his body. Mizuki cackling at this as suddenly the blood in the air would all accumulate into one point as Naruto, holding one hand out in front of him, would then smirk, looking up to Mizuki from the ground as a beam of blood would go straight through his forehead, piercing at Mizuki, who falling at his knees and then on the ground would lay dead. Naruto standing back up as holding at his injuries, he would check up on Iruka, seeing if he was okay and realizing that he was. Naruto with this would pick up his sensei and tell him that he's sorry for having been such an idiot and believing Mizuki. He just wanted to believe there was a way to become a genin other than making the clone jutsu. Iruka coughing as he would tell him that he actually thinks that what Naruto just did is more than enough to get him to move on. Handing him a headband as Naruto, holding it in his hand, would smile at Iruka, telling him that they should go give this back to the Hokage. Limping over towards the office where Naruto would help Iruka to get some medical attention as Hiruzen would go on to congratulate him for his performance against the ninja Mizuki, telling Naruto that he's quite impressed. He hadn't expected Naruto to gain such a mastery over his Kekkei Genkai in such a short amount of time. Naruto telling him that it's no biggie, as he would walk out of the room and pretty much just leave Hiruzen to make the teams, Naruto being placed onto Team 7 as we would expect, as we would be left to watch on as Iruka would go on to call teams for every single person. Naruto waiting patiently as he would realize that he's gonna be on a team with Sasuke, isn't he? Looking and watching as the names would dwindle and the teams would leave. Then, Iruka would say the word that Naruto hated, Sasuke and Sakura Haruno. Both people that Naruto grew a disdain for over the years. Sakura because she never gave him the time of day, and Sasuke, well, that was his rival. So as Iruka would announce this and finally leave the classroom telling them that their Jonin sensei should be here soon, Naruto would wait there in a silence that would be so awkward. That is until Sakura would break the tension and start talking about how glad she is that she's on a team with Sasuke, pointing out Naruto and saying that she hopes that he doesn't get them killed. Naruto not saying anything but simply rolling his eyes at her, as we would then see Kakashi enter the classroom, noting that Sakura was sitting right next to an annoyed Sasuke and Naruto was sitting to the far side of the room. Calling all three of them by name, as doing his iconic eye smile, Kakashi would tell them to meet him on the roof, the three of them having their introductions, as he would pretty much tell them that tomorrow they're going to be taking the true test to becoming genin. Us fast forwarding to that exact event as we would see Kakashi counting down from 3, 2, and 1. Naruto standing there as Sasuke and Sakura would have made their way to the bushes, as Naruto would tell Kakashi that he intends to become a genin and get that bell no matter what, immediately asking Kakashi if he meant they can do anything to get the bells. Kakashi nodding as Naruto would smirk, holding out a hand sign in front of him as the blood within his body would start circulating 3 times faster, improving Naruto's movement and actually impressing Kakashi, who watching his movements would think that what he had just did was very similar to that of opening one of the gates, and so dodging all of Naruto's moves because his taijutsu was very scruffy. He would then kick Naruto in the chest, sending him backwards, as Naruto, taking out a kunai and slashing at his arm, would then create a blood weapon, lunging back into the direction of Kakashi and attempting to slash him with it. But Kakashi, while dodging all the blows, would pretty much be mocking Naruto the entire time, telling him to think before he acts, and not to act so brashly. Slashing at Naruto's other arm, with Naruto saying, "Gotcha!" This is when a ball of blood, like a clumped up thing behind Kakashi, would then explode with compressed force that would actually nearly hit Kakashi. But surprisingly enough, he would tilt his head slightly as the blood beam would go right by him, and Naruto would be stunned. How did he, before then being slammed down on the ground and realizing that the Kakashi that he had been fighting this whole time wasn't even the real one. It was a clone. Watching on to see as Kakashi would get closer and closer, and hearing his sensei tell him that though his Kekkei Genkai is impressive, he still needs a world of experience before he could even try to fight him on his own. Naruto being pissed off as he would be tied to a stump, and ultimately Sasuke would go out there, try to do his own thing for himself, and be put on a stump too. This would eventually lead us to Team 7 having that moment where all of them feed each other, so the team would end up passing much like you would expect, and we're then able to get the sort of 1 to 2 week worth of D rank to E rank missions happening, with us skipping straight to the Tazuna stuff because nobody really cares about that. So as the team would be making their way towards the land of the waves, Tazuna would begin explaining why it is that he needs their protection, Naruto looking on ahead, as suddenly this puddle in front of him would warp into two ninjas and they would lunge to the direction of Kakashi, tearing him to shreds. Catching the team off guard, as Naruto would watch Sasuke show a level of coolness in this moment that would just leave him jealous. Sasuke taking on one of the demon brothers, as Kakashi making his presence known would then take out the other, leaving Naruto to just stand there like a statue and realize that he's incompetent. Genkai or not, Sasuke's still better. And to make matters worse, Sasuke would go up to Naruto and ask him if he was scared. Naruto barking back, "I wasn't scared, I was just caught off guard," with Kakashi's voice echoing from the background, as he would tell Naruto that scared or not, he still would have died had he and Sasuke not been there, telling him that in the ninja world, you can't let your guard down for even a second. Us going into the mindscape of Naruto, who's staring at the backs of Sasuke and Kakashi, would grit his teeth, promising that the next time someone comes, he'll be ready. So with the mission continuing, Naruto would eventually spot a white rabbit tossing a kunai towards it, with Sakura saying, "Naruto, are you serious? Why are you throwing kunais at some helpless creature?" Naruto apologizing as he would say that he's on high alert. Sakura saying, "Should have been like that earlier," as out of nowhere, Kakashi would scream out, "Get down!" The team, while doing so, as a gigantic blade would go zooshing by their faces, and suddenly there would be a man standing atop it, Zabuza Momochi. Kakashi and him both making eye contact as Q Kakashi glaze would begin, and we would then get the iconic battle between Kakashi and Zabuza. Naruto just watching in awe, realizing that there's people that are this fast and this precise in their movements, all the while he would just think about all the time that he's wasted using that ability of his Genkai instead of doing more training on his taijutsu, which would have benefited him. I mean, he's just a far-range fighter now, but as Naruto would think that, he would then realize, I'm just a long-range fighter, and right now that's what Kakashi needs. So we would go into watch as Naruto would make a tiny cut and blood would start shooting out from it, only for Naruto to start compressing it immediately as he would charge up an attack powerful enough to take Zabuza's head off, waiting for the perfect moment for Kakashi to move out of the way, and as soon as that would happen, Naruto would send a blood bullet flying in the direction of Zabuza, which would narrowly miss due to the fact that Zabuza would move at the last moment, us watching on as the bullet would hit a tree in the background and it would completely eviscerate it. Naruto just thinking to himself, damn it, if I'd only, as Zabuza staring daggers at Naruto, thinking that he could have killed him in that moment, would lock in even more in the battle with Kakashi, eventually imprisoning him in the water jutsu, as he would go on to create water clones, as he would tell Naruto that he was going to make their deaths painless, but after that little showing, he thinks he'll have his fun. The clones then beginning to rush to the direction of Naruto, with him answering by creating the multi-shadow clone jutsu, filling the entire area with 50 plus Narutos, which would all immediately rush to the direction of Zabuza, all the while Naruto would hold out a hand sign and he would cause the blood inside of his body to start powering at 6 times its normal speed, way more than what Naruto was used to, as he would then rush into the direction of the Zabuza clones, landing a decisive blow, smashing the Zabuza into a bunch of water pellets which would splash everywhere. Naruto taking a mental note of that, as Naruto in this moment would then hold his hand out in front of him and blast a compressed laser beam to the direction of Zabuza, forcing him to let Kakashi go, as the battle would once again reignite, all the while Sasuke would be staring at Naruto, just wondering where the heck that came from. He was moving way faster than he saw him fighting against Kakashi, and that couldn't have been longer than 2 weeks ago, so what gives? Why is he moving so fast? Why is his blood manipulation so much better than him? And why does he have his Genkai and he doesn't? Naruto would be stared at this moment by Sasuke with rage in his eyes, all the while Naruto would be keeping up with the battle best he can, charging up another blood blast in case Kakashi needed his aid, but luckily for him, he wouldn't, because Kakashi would be capable of taking down Zabuza, and just before he would land the finishing blow, 3 Senbon needles would fly at his neck, with a ninja coming in from the Mist Village that would take him away. This leaving Kakashi to fall over, as the team would then take him back to Tazuna's, and once they would arrive, this is when Kakashi would finally have the opportunity to catch his breath, him sleeping for nearly 3 days, as he would then go on to train Team 7, finding that the dynamic has slightly changed a bit. Sasuke's become a lot more quiet and focused on training, all the while Naruto was actually done the same, focusing a lot on his taijutsu and completely forgetting about his Genkai. All the while Sakura would, well, pretty much be more of the same because she's constantly just trying to stare at Sasuke. So with Kakashi going to the group, he would essentially do what he would do in Canyon, teaching them the water walking technique as well as the tree walking technique, or sorry, no, just the tree walking technique, my bad. As we would eventually zoom in on Naruto passed out in the forest with a girl right next to him in a pink kimono, gathering some herbs. Naruto waking up as he would ask, what are you doing here? Haku saying, oh, I'm gathering some herbs. What are you doing passed out in the forest? Naruto going on to explain that he was practicing his taijutsu. He realized in a fight earlier how useless that skill was and he's trying to get stronger so he can be a better ninja. Leaving Haku to ask, oh, you want to be strong? What for? Is there something you want to protect? As Naruto would stay silent. I guess myself? I haven't really thought about that. My teammates, right? I'd be sad if my teammates died, so I guess I want to get stronger from my teammates. That's a pretty good goal. But I will tell you this, young man. True strength can only be found once you have something you truly wish to protect. Otherwise, you might find yourself falling short to somebody who truly needs to protect something else. Him disappearing as he would say, oh, and by the way, I'm a boy. Shocking Naruto would be like, what? As we would then zoom forward to the day that the battle in the bridge would happen, Naruto waking up late like usual due to the fact that he had pushed his body to the max, training on his taijutsu. Naruto being woken up to the sound of rustling coming from the house. Naruto quickly changing as he would hide behind the corner and watch the situation, seeing that Tsunami was currently being grabbed by one of the men who was threatening to hurt her, all the while Inari would be crying. And as Naruto would see this, he would just feel rage, thinking that these are the scum of the earth, with him slowly beginning to charge up some compressed blood and aim it to the direction of one of the thugs, blaring it straight through the wall as it would go straight through his skull, killing the man on impact. With the second banding looking around and going, who was that? Who's there? Placing a knife straight to the skull of Inari. Naruto stepping out as the man would threaten him, telling him that if he takes one more step, he'll kill him. Naruto bluffing as he would tell him, your friend over there, do you want to know what killed him? I blew his brain up from the inside. And if I could do that to him from all the way over there, what makes you think I can't do that to you? The bandit getting scared as he would let go, dropping the blade and run out of the house. Naruto making his way towards them as he would say, are you guys okay? All the while he would inwardly think, I'm glad he blocked my buff. Then, chasing him out of the house as Naruto taking him down by using taijutsu, would then rush to the side of his team, arriving to see the scene of Sasuke facing off against Haku and Kakashi locked in battle against Zabuza. Naruto thinking to himself that Sasuke's probably the one who needs help, and how right he would be, because at that very second, Haku would have surrounded Sasuke within the ice mirrors. Naruto watching on as Sasuke would be hit from multiple different angles, as he would try to use his blood compression, his specialty up to this point. Naruto trying to aim it at Haku but realizing that the damn bastard's moving too fast, he can't hit him. So with Naruto making this realization, he would aim it directly at the glass, thinking that if he could just shatter the ice, then it'll leave an opening for Sasuke and they can fight him out here. Sending a beam of blood, which would actually barely manage to damage the ice. Naruto being shocked, but this, I gave it everything I had. How's this possible? Naruto would think, all the while Sasuke on the inside would finally have awakened his Sharingan and would slightly begin to dodge. Naruto getting angered at his helplessness, as he would decide that he'll help the only other way he can, with the multi-shadow clone jutsu. Forming the hand signs and sending clone after clone after clone inside of the actual mirror dimension, which would ultimately only serve to get into Sasuke's way, because it would prevent him from being able to dodge more effectively. And with that being said, Sasuke would actually start to lose the battle way worse than before, being hit in the side of the neck as his body would fall limp on the ground. Haku simply remaining inside of one of the ice mirrors as he would stare Naruto down and tell him he's sorry. But Naruto wouldn't hear any of that, because his eyes would have turned blood red. And suddenly, Haku would be outside of the mirror, his face having been shattered, as not only did Naruto's punch pack the energy of Kurama, but it also had Naruto's blood enhancement packed in it. So as Haku would land on the ground, Naruto would barely be capable of making the connection that that was Haku, only stopping just short before killing him, as he would say, "It's you." Haku coughing out blood from multiple different spots on his face, as he would tell Naruto to do it, that he's failed as a tool. With Naruto just sitting there thinking whether he should finish him. He killed Sasuke, but he was protecting someone, turning to see that Zabuza was about to be killed by Kakashi, as out of nowhere, Haku would get out from underneath him and would be hit by the Chidori blast, which from this point forward would essentially just lead the story down a similar path to what we get normally. Gato kicking the body of Haku, Naruto giving a similar but not exactly the same speech as he would in the original, and Zabuza ultimately killing him and all of his men for degrading the body of Haku. This then leaving us with the completion of the arc, as we would now make our perspective into Team 7 entering Hiruzen's office. The group talking about their improvements, as Kakashi would debrief Hiruzen on the fact that Sasuke awakened his Sharingan, and Naruto seemed to gotten better with his Genkai as well as Taijutsu prowess. Hiruzen happy to hear about all of these things, as he would give the team their pay and then give Kakashi a look which would be strange to the students, but they would figure out quite soon what that meant, because shortly after this, Kakashi would go on to explain to them about the Chunin exams, which the group would of course accept like you would expect, and we would now begin with the next arc. Quick timeout, editing Xehther here. Sorry for interrupting the video. It's just that I low-key for the last 10 minutes forgot to put my pop filter on my mic. So sorry if you guys went on to hear a lot of the like the air noises. I really do apologize, but there's absolutely no way I'm recording those last 10 minutes. So the best I could do is offer an apology, but trust for the rest of the video, that won't be a problem. Again, my bad. Alright, so with the Chunin exams right around the corner, Naruto would finally take the time to work on not only his taijutsu, but also his Genkai, and even take some time to talk about Kakashi about the experience he had when it comes to using the power of the Nine Tails, asking him if he knows anything about it, with Kakashi unfortunately having to tell him a few things. Number 1, yeah, he tapped into the power of the Nine Tails, and number 2, he doesn't recommend using that power, not only due to the fact that it belongs to a ravenous beast, but also due to the fact that it could literally take control of Naruto. Kakashi explaining that he actually knew the person who was the previous holder of Jinchuriki, and he knows for a fact that the Nine Tails could actively take over somebody, so that would pretty much serve to discourage Naruto from using that power. But ultimately, he would go on to ask Kakashi a question. How was it that Zabuza made those water clones, the ones that exploded once you destroyed them? With Kakashi smiling as he would say, oh, right, that. He used these hand signs, going on to show Naruto as he would create a water clone right next to him. Naruto asking if there's any way to imbue blood clones into them, with Kakashi raising an eyebrow and realizing that Naruto's trying to make his own unique jutsu. Kakashi at this would tell Naruto that there actually is a way, and considering that the way that he believes his jutsu to work is combining iron release alongside with water release, he thinks that if he was to use these hand signs showing him a different one, he might be able to just get the result that he's expecting, but it might be difficult to do considering that he won't know how much chakra he's going to need to use and how much of his Genkai he'll need to imbue into it. Naruto leaving the area. As for the following week, Naruto would go on to learn how to make blood clones, which are pretty interesting due to the fact that upon explosion, they cover you with blood, which is not only tedious due to the fact that it could quite literally blind you and no one wants blood going into their eyes, but Naruto's blood actually serves another purpose. It's sort of toxic to anybody other than him, because during the mission of the waves, Naruto would have learned that his blood is kind of poisonous to other people, noting that it had effects such as stamina drain and dizziness, so Naruto thinks that these blood clones could be perfect, and if he can somehow manage to replicate these alongside the multi-shadow clone technique and some sort of multi-blood clone technique, then maybe he has something special brewing here. Though the only unfortunate thing for this jutsu is the drain that it actually takes on Naruto's body, due to the fact that he has to imbue these clones with some semblance of blood, and since Naruto isn't exactly infinitely made of it, well, it's pretty hard to do so. So for the moment, Naruto's only capable of making 3 blood clones at a time. But enough of focusing on Naruto, let's go directly into the Chunin exam, specifically when they would run into Team Guy, because as soon as this would happen, much like in the original, Rock Lee would go on to challenge Sasuke. And like you would expect, Naruto would take offense to that, telling him that if he wants to fight the strongest in the team, he's standing right here. To which Rock Lee would quickly apologize, saying that he doesn't mind fighting both of them, but he does wish to fight Sasuke first, leaving Naruto to roll his eyes as he would hear Rock Lee challenge Sasuke to an only taijutsu fight, which Naruto would intervene, telling Sasuke he's an idiot. He's going right into his game. Why in the world would he handicap himself when facing off against somebody else? To which Rock Lee would not say anything, and Sasuke would tell him it's not a big deal, that this bushy-browed loser should only take about 10 seconds. Naruto telling him that it's his death sentence. This is when they would watch the battle take place, and Naruto would note, He can't even see Rock Lee move. His speed, it's incredible. But with the battle escalating and Rock Lee inevitably undoing his bandages, as he would be about to land the finishing blow on Sasuke, Might Guy would stop the battle just like you would expect. This ultimately would lead to an embarrassed Sasuke getting up kind of like with a bit of a limp, as Naruto would tell him he told him so, Sasuke saying that he's an idiot and to just shut up. And with that being said, they would then go on to take the test, which I'm pretty sure nobody cares about, and then go to the Forest of Death section, which is where things finally start to get interesting for Naruto, what with him having won rock, paper, scissors against Sasuke and being the leader of the group. As they would advance throughout the forest, suddenly Naruto would feel a tingle down his spine, and all of his movements would just shut down with a ninja appearing in front of them. This of course being Orochimaru, who now finally in front of them would lick his lips as he would stare at Sasuke, who feeling this would find himself tense up even more, thinking in his mind to move or do something. This is when taking out a kunai and stabbing it into his leg, Sasuke would somehow manage to get out of the way, grabbing onto Sakura, as Naruto would be the only one scared stiff. Because in that moment, Naruto could see blood, nothing but blood, all around his own body, and his own death. Naruto could visualize it so much so that it almost felt tangible, and in that moment, Naruto would actively start to cough out blood, him standing still as Orochimaru would laugh, saying, My, it's been a while since that's happened. Ignoring Naruto as he would rush to the direction of Sasuke, Naruto finally snapping out of it, as noting all of that blood pouring down his face and onto his shirt, Naruto would start to control the blood, manipulating it as he would create a blood scythe in his hand, manipulating the bloodstream inside of his body to actually start pumping faster, 6 times its usual speed, granting Naruto an incredible speed boost as Naruto would then lunge to the direction of Orochimaru and swing his scythe that would barely create a sound because it would have an after effect. And by that I mean that he would swing it, no noise would happen, but like let a second pass and then like you just hear something like that take place, because that thing would be so damn sharp and light that Naruto could swing that around as though he was holding a little pocket knife, forcing Orochimaru to dodge, as leaping backwards he would say, "A blood Keiki Genkai, fascinating. I was under the impression those of the Chihoge clan had been extinct, but this will prove to be magnificent," rushing to the direction of Naruto as his tongue would wrap around his arm and drag him closer. And as this would happen, the blood scythe would suddenly manipulate into like a water-like substance as it could create spikes in front of him like a spike-like armor, preventing Orochimaru from biting down on his neck as Naruto would push away, creating some distance. And then in fight or flight mode, he would create 3 balls of blood floating in mid-air that would all shoot blood bullets to the direction of Orochimaru, who, dodging all 3 of them, would smile, thinking that Naruto may be a prodigy, although while Sasuke would come in with a kick, Sharingan active, as using a wire jutsu he would attempt to catch Orochimaru off guard, but Orochimaru would simply substitute out of the way, appear behind Sasuke, and grab him by the hair and shoulder as he would forcibly bite down on Sasuke's neck, who with a scream would fall down to the ground, Naruto fearing that he was next, as he would innately create a blood barrier, similar to the one that Gaara created during the Chunin exams, much less durable due to the fact that it had less of the actual material to create it, but all in all, Orochimaru would watch from the outside, watching Naruto inside what seemed to be a hamster ball, as he would smile, telling him that he'll see him later, disappearing as Sakura would be screaming at the body of Sasuke who would be on the ground, all the while Naruto would be hyperventilating inside of the blood ball. Thinking himself lucky until finally dispersing it and rushing down to Sasuke's aid, Naruto would ask Sakura what they can do. Her crying as in helplessness, she would say, "Naruto, do something." Naruto looking to see if there's any way he can help, but it's not like he injected him with poison. No, he quite literally placed a seal on him, and Naruto can't do a thing about that. So opting to take care of Sasuke until he can wake back up, Naruto and Sakura would make their way to a cave, where Sakura would watch over Sasuke as long as she could, all the while Naruto would take care of the entrance. This happening over the course of 17 hours. With Naruto thinking that they're in the clear until 3 shinobi would approach them, all wearing the same headband. And as Naruto would watch on, he would begin formulating 3 distinct balls of blood, readying himself to end the targets immediately. But before Naruto could do that, suddenly Dosu, the group leader, would start blaring off his jutsu with the air, using an echolocation technique to track that Sasuke, Sakura, and Naruto were there. And seeing that Naruto was readying to kill them, he would order shinobi to his left to use their jutsu. creating distortion sound waves as Naruto would blast beams of blood, which wouldn't be able to hold their shape due to the sound that was causing them to actually unwind. I don't know if you guys have ever put like a speaker on water, but like the water starts shaking and it becomes unstable, and due to the fact that blood is made out of 70% water, the same thing would happen, leaving Naruto's jutsu to be completely useless. And as Naruto would notice this, he would alert Sakura, telling her that there's intruders, her saying that they'll handle it, as Naruto would say that she needs to stay back and take care of Sasuke. Him stepping outside, as immediately going on to create a claw made out of blood, Naruto would order the 3 ninjas to back away if they know what's good for them. But Dosu would simply laugh, telling Naruto that he's not an idiot. He noticed the elemental advantage that they have with their sound jutsus, telling Naruto that if they want to live, they can simply hand over the black-haired boy inside. And maybe, just maybe, he might spare them. With Naruto clenching his teeth as he would rush towards their direction, Dosu firing a blast of sound which would inherently destroy Naruto's eardrums, before then causing the shinobi-like weapon Naruto created with blood to dissipate. Naruto throwing a strike at Dosu which would completely miss, him grabbing onto his arm as he would twist it, calling Naruto an excuse for a shinobi, with Rock Lee appearing nearby and slamming a kick directly into Dosu's chest, telling him that he's here to help. With Naruto turning to Rock Lee and asking why. They're not teammates, with Rock Lee telling him that as far as he can tell, they are for the moment. 3-on-1 doesn't seem very fair, he would say. Naruto nodding as he would get back into combat position, noting that his blood jutsus won't work, but at least he'll have this. Holding out a hand sign as the blood inside of his body would start moving faster, and Naruto could feel his strength and speed increase. At this, he would attempt to fight in conjunction with Rock Lee, but he would find that even through their teamwork, it would be extremely difficult. That is, until Dosu would land a strike directly on Naruto's face, which would cause blood to splatter on Dosu himself, blinding him for a moment as Naruto would smirk, creating a large massive cloud of blood in an instant as he would slash to the direction of Dosu, tearing at the armor and creating a slight scratch where blood would begin pouring down. Dosu backing up as telling him that attack was weak, would then leave Naruto to smirk, telling him was it, as Dosu would feel blood begin to pour out of his eyes and nose and mouth, saying, "What did you do to me?" Naruto telling him that he simply gave him a gift, smiling as knowing that he would have injected some of his blood into that wound, that would have been more than enough for Dosu's senses to be weakened. So taking advantage of the situation, Naruto would go on to create a scythe made out of blood, cutting off the head of Dosu entirely as it would roll to the ground, all the while Rock Lee would have taken down the 2 other opponents, and Sasuke would finally wake up, standing out of the cave as he would turn to Sasuke and ask, "What are you doing here?" To which Lee would respond by telling him that he was helping, as Sasuke would kick Lee back, telling him that they don't need his help. With Rock Lee turning to Naruto, who would kind of give him a look of apologizing as Lee would simply just look away and run off. All the while Sasuke would turn to Naruto and tell him that he's pathetic. He can't believe he couldn't take down the 3 of these ninjas by himself. With Naruto yelling at him, telling him, What are you talking about, Sasuke? That guy over there just stuck his neck out for the team, and the way you decided to thank him was to kick him out like he was garbage? What the heck happened to you while you were unconscious?" Sasuke flaring up his chakra, as Naruto would stare at him pissed off as ever, and his own chakra would start to flare up with that of the Nine Tails. Sakura stepping in between the 2 of them, as she would beg them to stop, saying that they're on a team, and that they're taking a test for crying out loud. Grabbing onto Sasuke, she would beg over and over, "Please Sasuke, stop." With Sasuke finally relenting, as Naruto would just stare at Sasuke the whole time, wondering what the heck's wrong with his chakra, and why Sasuke gives off such a different vibe. But after taking the scroll of Team Dosu, they would make their way towards the Chunin Tower, moving on to the next part of the Chunin exams, as Sasuke would have the curse mark seal locked, and Kakashi would explain to them what happened, saying that under the influence of the curse mark, Sasuke likely was acting out of line. So with Naruto now understanding what was wrong with him, he would kind of give Sasuke a pass for that little interaction, going on to watch the battle between Sasuke and the ninja he would face off, as Naruto would be impressed because even with Sasuke having his chakra depleted, he still managed to do pretty well against that shinobi. So as Naruto would go to face off against his opponent in Kiba, Naruto would decide that he's going to show off a bit. So with the battle beginning, Naruto would create the hand signs for 2 blood clones, which would immediately appear, causing Kiba to laugh at them, saying it looks like he finally learned the jutsu, rushing towards those weak clones as he he would say, and bursting one of them, punching it directly in the face with it allowing itself to be hit as the blood would splatter on Kiba, blinding him for a second, as Naruto would aim a finger to the direction of Kiba, and suddenly 3 holes would appear on Kiba's body, one on his leg, one on his arm, and one on his torso, with Naruto walking over to him as Akamaru would bark viciously, but Naruto would just kick it away, asking Kiba if he still thinks that clone was weak, to which Kiba would reply by coughing, since Naruto's blood had entered his bloodstream, and now he was feeling dizzy. So Naruto, taking advantage of that moment, would kick Kiba further away as he would tell him to give up already, that he doesn't want to embarrass him any further. Kiba refusing to do so, as Naruto would create 4 more orbs, and he would tell Kiba if he would change his mind if Akamaru's life was on the line. Kiba's eyes widening as he would immediately give up, turning to Naruto and telling him that he's changed, but not for the better, limping away as Naruto would be satisfied with his victory, making his way towards the battle stands, where Kakashi would point out that Naruto's been a bit more bloodthirsty recently. Naruto turning to him and telling him that he was being merciful, to remember what he told him in the forest. In this world, it's either kill or be killed. With Kakashi kind of just closing his eyes and focusing back on the next battle, which would be Neji versus Hinata Hyuga. The battle taking place just like it would in the original, until inevitably Naruto would feel angered at the way that Neji was handling things. He was beating her even though she was clearly weaker than him, and as Naruto's hand would start tightening around the guardrail, Kakashi would turn to Naruto and tell him to calm down, that in the shinobi world, it's kill or be killed, right? With Naruto understanding what Kakashi meant, he had no reason to do that to Kiba, just like Neji had no reason to do that to Hinata. Naruto barking back, "You don't know the half of it. If anything, I went too light on Kiba," as Kakashi would ask Naruto how much exactly he knows about Neji and Hinata. Naruto finally getting quiet as he would realize he knows nothing. And just as he humiliated Kiba and made everyone watch, Neji's doing the same to Hinata. So how dare he be a hypocrite in this moment? Naruto would let go of the railings and simply watch as the battle would unfold, Neji preparing to land a killing blow until Kakashi, Guy, and the exam proctor would hold Neji back. The battle being called in favor of Neji, with Naruto looking up at the bracket and noting that his next opponent would actually be the winner of this match. So as Neji would walk back towards his examination area, Naruto would be staring him down, with Neji smirking, confident that he could defeat Naruto, as Naruto would think to himself that he'll wipe that smug look off his face. That said, we're now going to jump cut into what Naruto's going to be doing during the 1 month, because much like in the original, Kakashi would be busy training up Sasuke. So Naruto deciding that the best course of action for him would probably be to go try to find a sensei, he would remember the man in Might Guy and realize that if he was able to teach somebody like Rock Lee to become as strong as he was against Gaara, then maybe, just maybe, he can teach him to become 1/4 of what Rock Lee was. So Naruto going around and asking where Rock Lee lives, or sorry, Might Guy, he would end up making his way there and pretty much talking to him, giving his condolences, first and foremost about what happened to Lee, figuring out if he'll ever be okay again, visiting him at the hospital, and then finally asking Might Guy what it was exactly that he did to make Lee such a splendid shinobi. With Might Guy telling him that it was nothing that he did, and that really it was all Rock Lee's doing. Naruto being confused at this until Might Guy would go on to tell him his backstory, explaining just how incredibly hard Rock Lee trained just to get to that point, saying that he may have taught him how to access the 8 gates, but everything else, that was just sheer hard work. And after Naruto would be impressed with the determination of Lee, he would ask Guy if he'd be willing to teach him the 8 gates, with Guy explaining that it's not that simple, and that he'll be willing to, but his physical body has to get to a specific point before he could even think of that, going on to explain to Naruto that if he truly wants to learn the 8 inner gates, he's going to need to pass this training regimen, giving Naruto a list of an absurd amount of crunches, sit-ups, handstands, punches, kicks, and all that, with Naruto deciding that he'll do it, but pretty much low-key quitting the first day, because mentally and physically, his body would just straight up check out. After doing half of the exercise on day 1, Naruto would have needed to go to the hot spring for some recovery, and after about 4 more days of this training, Naruto would realize that Rock Lee's a monster among monsters, because just to be able to do 3/4 of the things on this list, it took Naruto dang near a week, and the toll that it took on Naruto's body was incredible. He doesn't even feel the benefits of it at this point, because right now, his body just feels like mush. So as Naruto would make his way to the hot springs for another day of this, he would suddenly spot a dude peeping on the girls. And so calling him out, he would tell him that unless he wants to be a statistic, he better get going. With Jiraiya kind of doing the shh kid, as Naruto immediately yells out, "There's a pervert watching you!" All the ladies in the bathhouse rushing to get covered, as Jiraiya would ball up his fist and be like, "Ah, damn it, kid, guess I gotta teach you a lesson." Naruto smiling and getting into a battle stance as he would tell him that just because he's wearing normal clothes doesn't mean he's not a shinobi. With Jiraiya smirking as Naruto would create 3 distinct balls of blood that would start floating in the air, as Jiraiya, impressed by this, would ask Naruto just what kind of Kekkei Genkai that is, Naruto telling him that it's called blood release, with Jiraiya getting closer to it and examining it, before asking if it's just a combination of iron and water release, Naruto telling him and what if it is, with Jiraiya saying that he's Naruto, isn't he? Naruto nodding as he would go on to say that his name is Jiraiya, and he's, call it a friend. Naruto turning towards him as he would say, "Huh? I'd never be friends with a guy like you," with Jiraiya kind of just patting on Naruto and telling him that he'll want him to be his friend, since after all, he wants to get stronger, doesn't he? Naruto saying that what could a pervy old man teach him about strength, with Jiraiya pretty much telling him he could teach him a lot, blitzing behind Naruto and standing on the water as he would go on to tell him that he could show him a lot. Naruto then being impressed and realizing that this man must be a shinobi, asking who he is, as Jiraiya would go on to explain that he's a legendary Sannin. Naruto remembering a conversation with Kakashi that he would have explained that the person he ran into was Orochimaru, a member of the legendary Sannin. So Naruto would say, "Wait, so you're like that snake guy?" With Jiraiya saying, "Yeah, Orochimaru. He's one of us. Though I can't say he's the strongest. That title goes to me, Jiraiya." Okay, why did I just use the Mike Guy voice? Anyways, continuing forth with the story, we pretty much end up having Naruto and obviously Jiraiya becoming Naruto sensei after the two would finally get to know each other. And through that, that's where Naruto would spend the majority of his training. Jiraiya wanted to teach him about summoning and all these other things, with Naruto kind of telling him that that's not what he wants to work on. He wants to find new uses for his blood Kekkei Genkai, and unless he can help him with that, he's useless. With Jiraiya nodding no and telling Naruto that in order to be a shinobi, you can't just be good at one thing. You've got to be practical, which means that if he's going to want effective training, he should schedule his training as such. 20% on his Kekkei Genkai, 60% on taijutsu, and another 20% on learning the art of summoning, which Naruto would follow. So by the end of the month, Naruto would gain the skill of summoning Gamabunta. He would learn how to actually manipulate his blood Kekkei Genkai a little bit better. And by that I mean using it way faster than before when it comes to creating weapons and even shooting projectiles, with Naruto actually getting more of a hang of using the blood for defense. And by that I mean in the midst of Naruto's training with Jiraiya, Jiraiya would not have been pulling many punches against Naruto, because he needed to quite literally beat the information into him. And through the midst of that training, Naruto would have gotten pushed to the point where using the blood, he would have been able to create like armor, not like literal armor that kind of goes around him like a Susanoo, but more of like a concentrated spot of blood that would harden. So whenever Jiraiya would hit him at that spot, it would cause little to no damage to Naruto, with Naruto getting pretty damn good at doing that when it comes to reflexive attacks, like things that Naruto can't really see coming, and his body kind of just doing that inherent like twitch. Like you guys know whenever you're about to get hit and you can't like block it, so you kind of like cower in fear. If Naruto does that, his Kekkei Genkai is able to move fast enough to block it without him actually knowing really what's going on, but it's just a skill that he ended up picking up after facing off against a Sannin over the course of like 2 weeks. So with that being the case, we now were able to finally get into the Neji versus Naruto fight, which would all begin much like you would expect. Neji going on about how it's his destiny to defeat Naruto, with Naruto just being like blah 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 blah. Can we just get to fighting already? With Neji kind of closing his eyes and getting serious, all the while Naruto would go on to create like 8 different blood spots that would all start to concentrate as they would blast off towards Neji, who using the palm rotation technique would block each and every one of the attacks. Naruto being shocked at the fact that he could pull something out like that since he'd never seen it before. Neji telling him that he's a fool if he thought he would come unprepared for something like that. Naruto watching on as Neji would attempt to get closer, but he would then start shooting at him, Neji having to use the rotation over and over and over again as he would ask Naruto when he intends to actually fight him. Naruto holding out the signs for clones as 3 clones would all rush at Neji individually, with Neji smirking as he would go on to hit pressure points on each one, causing them to blow up, leaving blood to splatter on Neji, who would be caught off guard by the jutsu but think nothing of it. That is, until his vision would start to blur and he would feel himself be off balance, giving Naruto the perfect opportunity to close the distance between them, lunging towards Neji with a blood scythe, as with his other hand, Naruto would create an orb of blood floating right around it, swinging his scythe as Neji would block it, causing more blood to splatter on him, Neji having the poison effect only getting worse as Naruto would then blast at Neji's ribcage with one of the blood bullets, piercing through Neji's stomach, as Neji, fighting through the pain, would seemingly just say, 64 trigram palm strike, immediately engaging in the attack, which would be a bit sloppy mind you, but it would still semi-work, because even though not every chakra point would be shut down, it would be scrambled for Naruto, and even though Naruto would now be laying on the ground reeling in the pain because some of the blows he was capable of blocking via the blood armor that he's able to create, and some of it Neji just straight up didn't land the blow accurately, Neji at this point would be starting to feel very oozy, wondering what the heck's wrong with him, leading to a stalemate in which Naruto would stand back up and tell Neji that he poisoned him, explaining that those blood clones that he thought were so easy to deal with were actually a distraction. The second that that blood got on him, it acted like a poison. So with Neji hearing this, he would scowl before telling Naruto that at the bare minimum he'll be taking him down, because if he's not gonna win, neither will Naruto, rushing in towards him way more aggressively as he would engage in a bunch of palm strikes at Naruto, which Naruto, being able to actually read them this time, would start to take back over in the battle, eventually having Neji at his mercy, with Naruto having healed a bit faster than Neji. So as Naruto would get the upper hand on him, he would create blood claws similar to the ones that Shredder uses, as just as Naruto would be about to land this strike that would fatally injure Neji, Naruto would stop, remembering the words of Kakashi in his head, how Naruto had taken the battle too far against Kiba, and how Neji had taken things too far against Hinata. Him reeling back, as he would then just punch Neji in the face, knocking him to the ground unconscious, this leaving the proctor to nod, and everybody who would be watching the fight to think that that was pretty freaking cool. Naruto kind of looking away as he would walk back towards the proctors, him making his way towards Sakura, who would ask Naruto if he was really gonna kill him. Naruto saying that he wasn't planning on killing him, but he was definitely planning on injuring him as bad as he injured Hinata. But then he remembered that if he was to do that, he'd be just as bad as him, remembering the words of Kakashi. Sakura saying that she hopes Sasuke gets here soon, as Naruto would kind of just cross his arms and say, trust, that little show-off's gonna get here right in the nick of time. Him proving to be right about an hour later, as Sasuke and Gaara would end up happening, and much like in the original, it would lead to the same attack that happens on the village. Naruto looking around as he would spot countless ninjas now beginning to go to war with each other, and as blood would start to splatter everywhere, Naruto would feel something strange. There was so much blood in the air, so much more than he was used to. This kind of feeling akin to a water style user being around a literal body of water, because Naruto in this moment felt as though he had access to control all that blood around him, which was pouring out, and in that moment, Naruto would close his eyes and raise both hands, forcing all of the individual drops of blood to start raising into the air, manipulating the blood until it would become a massive amalgamation in the air. Naruto using this jutsu to sort of feel out where all the enemies are, as in one fell sweep, Naruto would unleash a blood rain on the village, which would annihilate a majority of the shinobis who were fighting for the sand, and leave Naruto with a chance to control even more blood, since he would have killed more people than he had at first. This ultimately leaving Naruto to extend both of his hands, as feeling pressure and kind of like a headache type of feeling in his head, Naruto would bypass all that as both of his eyes would turn red, and out of nowhere all of the blood that started pouring out of these shinobis would fly up into the air in an amalgamation of just a ball of energy. It practically looked like Frieza's energy ball that he would have used to destroy the Saiyan planet. And as Naruto would stare at that thing, Naruto would suddenly turn to his left, where he would catch a glimpse of Kakashi, who who's signaling to him with his hand to go after Sasuke, Naruto would do just that, having the blood follow behind him like a tsunami, but it was like flying in the air. And as Naruto would like pretty much be running through the forest, there would be a shadow covering him of just straight up like blood flowing in the air, with Naruto arriving just in the nick of time and saving Sasuke before he would be skewered by Gaara's half-tailed transformation state. So Naruto would send this tsunami of blood flying to the direction of Gaara, which would do two things. It would emulsify the sand, making it more like mud-like, as Gaara would lose his ability to control it, and number two, it would poison Gaara, blurring his vision as he would attempt to look out in a rage, and Naruto out of nowhere would control that gigantic amalgamation of blood into the shape of like a gigantic dragon, which would stare down at Gaara and bite down on him like it was about to consume him. However, just as that would happen, Gaara would fully lose control, and the sand that would begin to erupt out of the body, with Shukaku transforming into the one-tailed state, would tear some of that blood off, with Naruto simply staring to the direction of Gaara and watching as he would just grow and grow and grow. Naruto looking back towards all the blood that he has and not feeling any fear whatsoever, all the while Sasuke would stare at him with just this look of like, how is he doing that? And Naruto would go on to formulate the blood into the tiniest needles Naruto could possibly muster, sending each and every single one of them flying towards him, as Gaara's Shukaku-like state would be pierced everywhere, Gaara being forced awake as all of that sand would crumble down like if you guys have ever seen an anthill and you poured water on it, that's basically what started happening to that sand. So as Gaara would roll on the ground, holes all throughout his body from the attack that Naruto would have just landed, he would walk closer, asking Gaara why in the world he should let him live. His village just led a revolt against his, and if he's being honest, he doesn't really like him. Gaara staring at him with fear in his eyes for the very first time. As the Sand siblings would arrive and cry out, "Wait, don't kill him," Temari would say, Naruto turning towards her as he would ask why. He would have killed me had he had the chance, with Kankuro grabbing at his puppet strings attempting to save him, but before anything could happen, Naruto would wag his finger in the air, telling them that if they move, he'll cause all of Gaara's blood to viciously destroy him from the inside. Temari holding her breath, as Kankuro would wonder if Naruto's bluffing, but one look at his eye could tell him that those weren't the eyes of somebody who was backed into a corner. He meant it. So standing at the mercy of Naruto, both of them would just kind of have like a defeated look on their faces, as he would think about how Gaara had transformed into the One Tail, and in all likelihood, he had likely gone through all of the same trials that he had as a kid, being bullied, teased, and having to deal with that horrendous beast inside of him. Naruto would feel an inch of like sadness as he would go on to close the wounds of Gaara, not like closing them, but like leaving like those scabs that form on blood so that no more would leak out, as he would turn to Kankuro and Temari and say, if you can save him, save him. But if not, it's nothing to me. Simply walking away as Gaara would just stare at the back of Naruto and realize that Naruto had a beast dwelling inside of him all along. He just never chose to use that power, leaving Gaara with a lot to think about, with him ultimately becoming a Kage, but not being the pacifist that he would be. He'd be a strong-natured Kage, powerful and ruthless, but also not as chaotic as he would have been before, which is going to be pretty interesting for what ends up taking place once we actually get to this Kazekage rescue mission, if we could even call it that this time. But anyways, I digress. After this entire section of the story would finally finish taking place, we would now be left to contend with what happens after the funeral of Hiruzen, and I think the course of events would be pretty simple, because keep in mind, just like in the original, Naruto really only has one choice, and that is train with Jiraiya. So Naruto would once again go with him in search of Tsunade, and in turn, Jiraiya would likely promise to teach him the ability of the Rasengan, something that Naruto would learn just like in the original, and would then lead us to the same confrontation with Tsunade that we have in the original. Now mind you, I know it seems like I'm skipping that one fight at the hotel, but trust me, I'm not. I'll get to that. Anyways, as soon as the confrontation would start between Naruto and Tsunade, the two would be squaring off against each other just outside the bar, and as Naruto would tell Tsunade to take back what she had said, Tsunade would laugh in his face, as Naruto in that moment would then look at her and say, alright, fine, before then using his jutsu and leaving Tsunade completely paralyzed. Blood. It was blood, she would think. looking at Jiraiya in slow motion as the attack would pierce right through her, and Tsunade would stare down at the blood trickling down her own body, beginning to have a PTSD attack of the death of Dan as well as her little brother, all the while Naruto would be questioning what happened, leaving Jiraiya to step between the two of them as in a serious tone he would tell Tsunade that he was gonna tell her. But she's so damn hot-headed that she didn't even give him the chance. Tsunade staring at Jiraiya as eventually she would just kind of snap, going into a rage where no longer caring about the blood around her, Tsunade would coil her fist and slam it directly into the stomach of Jiraiya, sending him crashing into a building. As holding at his stomach, he would stare at Naruto, panicking as he would wonder what Tsunade's gonna do now. But Tsunade would stop just short, telling the brat that he won this time, but never again. Her kind of just telling Naruto that she'll return to the village alongside him, as well as pointing out that his jutsu's interesting. Blood. She never thought she'd encounter something like that, and yet here comes Jiraiya with the exact thing she wasn't expecting. Her going on to walk away is still angered at Jiraiya for not having even given her that heads up. She would then make her way to the hotel room where, thinking about things through and using some light medical ninjutsu on herself, she would pass out knowing what has to be done tomorrow. Us just positioning ourselves to the perspective of Tsunade as she would attempt to kill Orochimaru in one fell swoop, but Kabuto would see right through it, and just then the battle would begin. Tsunade and Naruto versus Kabuto. Naruto turning to Tsunade and telling her that he has this. As holding out two hand signs, Naruto would go on to start manipulating the blood inside of Kabuto's own body, who in this instant would be stunned, because kind of just like looking at his own self, he would start noting that something was fundamentally changing within him. And this is when we would flash back in time to the encounter that Naruto would have had in the hotel, him being backed into a corner by Kisame and Itachi, as he would practically be forced to pull something off that he never had before. Naruto tapping into the innate ability of controlling blood. Since Naruto had gotten so good at controlling a massive tsunami, now Naruto had gotten good enough to the point where he could control the blood flow within an actual person. And he didn't need the caveat of a cut or anything like that. And Naruto would use that exact technique to cut off the blood circulation to Kisame's brain, rendering him completely useless in the fight, as Itachi would be stunned at what Naruto would become. But before he could do something about him, suddenly the voice of Sasuke would echo out in the corner and yell out, "Itachi!" And thus, we would zoom back into Naruto, manipulating the blood inside of Kabuto's body until suddenly he could feel himself getting dizzier than he ever has before. Naruto creating the effect of like a low iron deficiency, but like times 10, as Kabuto would straight up fall to the ground unconscious, all the while Naruto would hold out one hand and right in front of it a little ball of blood would open, as Naruto would pressurize it for about 3 seconds and blast a bray of blood straight through the brain of Kabuto, killing him on contact, all the while Orochimaru would be fighting for his life against Jiraiya and Tsunade, who completely into the zone would be rushing at Orochimaru with blows that could quite literally take his head off upon contact, leaving him to dodge and dodge and dodge and just not stop moving that entire battle, as Naruto would watch and attempt to control the blood inside of Orochimaru for an easy KO. But here is where Naruto would discover the weakness of that jutsu. Though it's incredibly powerful, it doesn't work if the target is moving. And what I mean by that is that Naruto can't control blood that's not staying still, that's moving all over the place, because Naruto's point of concentration is shifting every second. So even though Naruto now has an incredibly potent jutsu that could quite literally kill somebody in one shot, Naruto won't always have the ability to use it in a fight, which is going to be pretty interesting considering that Naruto would still obviously try to provide support, but Naruto wouldn't really be able to pull too much off against Orochimaru, because if he's dodging Sannin, he can easily dodge Naruto's blood attacks that at the moment are just still not fast enough to get him to that Sannin level. Which ultimately would then leave us to a stalemate in which Orochimaru would barely manage to escape, tail between his legs, as Jiraiya would tell Tsunade to just let it go, that they'll get him. Maybe not today, but they will. Tsunade scoffing as she would undo the 100 healings jutsu she was just using and then turn to Naruto, asking him what he did to Kabuto. Naruto going on to explain that in the battle against Itachi and Kisame, or more so Kisame, he learned this jutsu because he had to. He was cornered and every other attack that he tried using was completely blocked effortlessly by Kisame. So Naruto took the opportunity of a gloating Kisame to, well, nearly kill him. Tsunade shocked at the fact that Naruto could even contend with a ninja like that, saying that Naruto's ability truly is terrifying, but it could be even deadlier. What with her medical ninjutsu knowledge, if Naruto was to understand human anatomy just a little more, Naruto could go on to create some truly potent jutsus. Naruto questioning if that's an invitation to train, as Tsunade would nod, saying that it might be an invitation for something, but she's not going to say more than that. Naruto smiling at Tsunade, as we're now able to go back to the village, where she would go on to heal a ton of people, namely Kakashi and Sasuke, and ultimately giving us to the same exact point where Naruto and Sasuke would have that little rooftop hospital fight. Him challenging Naruto, enraged at everything that Naruto's been capable of doing while leaving him in the dust. First it was defeating Gaara, and now it was attracting the attention of his older brother. It was truly infuriating, Sasuke would think, and he intended on remedying the situation, calling out Naruto and challenging him to a fight instantly, as Naruto would decline, but Sasuke in that room itself would get out of the bed as he would lunge to the direction of Naruto and throw a punch, Naruto dodging it as he would tell Sasuke he's lost his mind, Sasuke kicking him through the door and telling him that he'll either fight him here or he'll fight him upstairs, but wherever it is, they're gonna fight. Naruto just staring at Sasuke as pissed off now at the fact that he really tried to do that here. He would tell him that they're gonna go for it, but it's not his problem if he needs healing from Tsunade again. To which Sasuke would say that he won't, instantly awakening his Sharingan, or tapping into it, sorry, as Sasuke would watch the movement of Naruto's chakra flow inside of his body, registering the movements that Naruto would be doing, and pretty much being one step ahead of Naruto's jutsus before he could actually formulate them, allowing Sasuke to somewhat keep up with Naruto for a couple exchanges, which would ultimately end when Naruto would finally decide to get serious, and Sasuke and Naruto would both stop. Naruto using a flow of chakra that Sasuke was completely unfamiliar with, seeing as he's seen Naruto's jutsu so many times before, but that flow, it was different, and the chakra wasn't emerging out of Naruto, it seemed to be targeting him. But it would be too late, because by then, Sasuke would already have been rendered unconscious by Naruto, who would have tampered with the blood flow in Sasuke the moment that the battle slowed down long enough for the two to face off against each other and kind of have a moment to like glare at one another. This would ultimately leave Sasuke to wake up a few hours later with Kakashi by his bedside, talking to him about what he intends on doing and why he would fight one of his comrades. Sasuke telling him that he has no idea what he's going through, telling him that if only he had everybody in his family or everybody close to him die, he'd understand. But Kakashi would just look at him and tell him, "That's interesting, but you're a bit too late to put that to the test," leaving Sasuke to just think in that hospital room, until inevitably, come nighttime when Sasuke would be released and going home, until suddenly he would hear the sound of 8 footsteps nearing him, as he would turn and ask what they want, with the group explaining that it's not what they want, but what they can offer Sasuke, activating the power of their curse marks, as they would absolutely render Sasuke useless, telling him that if he wants power comparable to this, he'll come with Orochimaru, who could perfect him. With Sasuke accepting the offer like you would expect and abandoning the Leaf Village, having his final confrontation with Sakura before he would walk out. Us pretty much watching on as Tsunade would assemble the Rookie 12, or wait no, it wasn't 12 for that mission, and sending them out to go face off against the Sound 4 and retrieve Sasuke. As the group would do so, things would seemingly play out like they would in the original, until Naruto would encounter Kimimaru. Naruto facing off against him, as he would ask him why he intends to stand before him, saying that he can tell he's a dead man walking already, what with the flow of his blood. Kimimaru answering that he'll do what is necessary for Lord Orochimaru, leaving Naruto to hold out one hand and tell him that what's necessary is his death, clotting the blood fully, as Kimimaro would have blood begin to pour out of his eyes, nose, and everywhere. But in that instant, he would tap into the power of Curse March Stage 2, knowing that he only has a few seconds left to live, and absolutely bomb rush Naruto with a level of attacks that Naruto could not react or even expect, nearly actually killing Naruto and impaling him in multiple different spots on his body. Kimimaro stopping just short of killing Naruto because he would have drawn his final breath, but the bone would have been nearly inches away from Naruto's face, and Naruto would know one thing: had Kimimaro been healthy, he would have died. But before Naruto could ponder this any longer, this is when he would hear the sounds of footsteps nearing, and looking to see who it was, Naruto would see none other than bushy brows. Naruto looking shocked as he would ask what he's doing here, saying that last he heard, he had gotten a life-threatening surgery from Tsunade, him telling him that he came to help, as Naruto would point towards the body of Kimimaro and tell him that he can help by going after the others, saying that Sasuke is all his. Lee nodding as Naruto would say, "Don't die. Got that?" And he would then make his way towards Sasuke. At this, Naruto would finally reach him, and staring at his backside, Naruto would cry out, "Sasuke! Stop running, damn it!" As Sasuke would stop moving, turn around, and smile at Naruto. "So you actually came," Sasuke would say, to which Naruto would stare at him with a glare of confusion, anger, and just indifference. All the while Sasuke would tell him that he's gotten a lot stronger, and if he wants to take him back to that godforsaken village, then he'll have to do it with his own hands. Naruto telling him that that can be accomplished. Sasuke smirking as he instantly lunges to the direction of Naruto faster than before, and a shocked Naruto who had let his guard down because he thought that this would be as easy as it was on the rooftop would be stunned. Sasuke, in his base, no Sharingan active, was currently pushing him back, and as Naruto would finally be sent backwards, Naruto would hold out a hand sign creating 3 blood clones that would all make an attempt to face off against Sasuke, him blowing each of them up, all the while making sure that the blood wasn't getting on him, knowing that Naruto's blood was a toxin. And as each one of them would blow up in the face of Sasuke, he would use his instincts to dodge the blood's spray radius, immediately turning to Naruto and telling him to see the fruits of Orochimaru. He's gotten this strong and he's yet to even get to his hideout. Naruto telling him that he could have gotten that strong naturally training, but instead, of course, he's going after a shortcut. Sasuke gritting his teeth as he would cry out to Naruto that he doesn't get it. He was born with strength. He doesn't need to seek it out. Naruto laughing as he would tell him that he's an idiot. He's an Uchiha. He was born with just as much strength as he was. He's just not willing to put in the effort to actually train himself. Going on to explain to Sasuke that he did as Sasuke would close the distance and slam his fist directly into the stomach of Naruto, sending him backwards as he would think, and just look up at Sasuke, who would then slam an uppercut directly into Naruto's jaw, drawing some blood as it would cover Sasuke's fist, and Sasuke would simply wipe off the blood, turning to Naruto as he would see a ray of blood shooting straight towards his neck, a killing blow. Sasuke dodging it as he would go on to tell Naruto that those little blood attacks of his have one problem: they're too slow. Naruto trying to track Sasuke as bending the blood to his will, he would attempt to slash off one of Sasuke's arms, ears, something, but it just wouldn't work. Sasuke's moving way too fast, which would leave Naruto with no choice but to create clones and hope that they could buy him some time. Naruto leaping off of the edge of the cliff, knowing that if he has any chance to defeat Sasuke now, it'll be using water. Since Jiraiya would have trained him during that little time skip that they had together, to know that water and blood manipulation are almost the same. Going on to explain that the nature of the element that he's bending is probably derived from iron and water release. So if Naruto can control water release even to half of the extent of the blood release, Naruto should be proficient at fighting at water. And so the moment Naruto would land and his feet would contact the water, Naruto would start walking on it. Sasuke smiling as he would leap down, like just straight aura farming, just like Itachi would, as he would stop himself from hitting the water by slamming a kunai into the wall, then staring at Naruto and asking him what kind of pathetic attempt this was, telling him that he's not bringing him back to the village, and he sure isn't going to stand a better chance if they're here. Lunging at the direction of Naruto, who in this moment, closing his eyes to concentrate, would then go on to manipulate the waves around him, understanding it finally. Water. It's just a diluted version of blood. So, Naruto beginning to manipulate it would wrap it around the legs of Sasuke, impeding his movements, as Naruto would smirk, staring at Sasuke, who in rage would tap into the power of the curse mark stage 2, crying out as he would rip his legs out of the water, but it would be too late. Naruto had already gained control of the blood internally, and he cut off the circulation of multiple organs, leaving Sasuke to pour out blood from his nostrils, mouth, and ears, as Sasuke would get closer and closer, creating an Onyx Chidori and attempting to kill Naruto with it. But this is when Naruto would clamp his hand together, as he would cause the blood inside of Sasuke's arm to explode, leaving the arm that had a Chidori in it, or charged up on it, explode, blood gushing everywhere, as Sasuke would fall to the ground, vision completely blurred, and Naruto would stare down at him, falling onto one knee as he would catch his breath, then stand back up and walk over towards Sasuke, his eyes like blood red, as he would kick at the head of Sasuke and call him a freaking idiot. Why did he make him do that, he would say, grabbing onto the collar of Sasuke and lifting him up, thinking that he should just end him here. If he wants to become a traitor of the village, then let him. He'll kill him now. But just as Naruto would be about to do this, Kakashi would arrive, place his hand on Naruto's shoulder, and tell him that they need to go. Naruto gritting his teeth in palm, as he would then take Sasuke back to the village alongside Kakashi, and right after this, we would now get a scene of Sasuke's recovery, Naruto's own recovery, and the mission breakdown between Shikamaru and Tsunade. This all happening approximately 3 days later, as we would then get a scene of Naruto walking into the office and telling Tsunade that Sasuke blatantly tried to kill him. He's unhinged. He shouldn't be allowed to just waltz back in the village after what he's done. Tsunade turning to him and saying that Sasuke is the last Uchiha they have left, so they're gonna do whatever needs to be done to keep him in check. As we would then suddenly see Jiraiya come to the village, or more specifically the room, and go on to put a hand on Naruto's shoulder, telling him that he heard all about his brave battle against Sasuke, asking if he really struggled that much. Naruto glaring at Jiraiya, who would then go on to tell him that he's kidding, telling Jiraiya if it's okay, as she would nod, and at this point, Jiraiya would go on to explain to Naruto that they're going to be going on their own little training journey. Naruto questioning why, as Jiraiya would then go on to tell Naruto that it's because of certain organizations coming after him. He remembers the encounter between Kasami and Itachi, right? Naruto nodding, with Jiraiya going on to explain that that organization is not something to take lightly. Both of those shinobis together could have easily killed them, and Jiraiya still hasn't figured out why they didn't. So for now, Naruto's gonna need to get stronger, and fast. And the easiest way to do that will be to leave the village and spend the next few years training. Naruto looking at Tsunade and then Jiraiya and then saying, "So you want me to do exactly what Sasuke was trying to do? Are you kidding me?" As Jiraiya would stare at him and then tell him that it's not exactly the same thing, though he does need to go get his things now. As Naruto would do exactly just that, seeing as he's grown to like Jiraiya and he respects him and he'll follow what he says. After all, he's gotten pretty significantly stronger, and he's not going to say no to training under Sannin. So after that would take place, Naruto's 3-year training time skip alongside Jiraiya would commence, and we would have a very different one than we would get in the original. Obviously, sometime during the time skip, Jiraiya would probably teach Naruto the Rasengan, but that's not the only thing he would have taught him. Because after Jiraiya would have ended up polishing up his taijutsu and ninja skills, which probably would have been at around the 1-year mark, Naruto would start questioning Jiraiya as to why he's even called a Sannin. What the hell does that title even mean? Jiraiya going on to explain that that's the title given to somebody who has mastered the art of Sage Jutsu. Naruto asking what Sage Jutsu is, with Jiraiya telling him that that's something for another day. It's incredibly difficult training, and for now, he should continue focusing on polishing up his ninjutsu. Naruto acknowledging this, as he would consistently berate Jiraiya. Teach me, Sage Jutsu, teach me Sage Jutsu, teach me Sage Jutsu, because sometime along the training, Naruto would get so damn good at blood manipulation that there's almost no things that Naruto can't actively do with blood. His manipulation over it has gotten so insane to the point that Naruto can make literal saucer-like blood shuriken weapons that spin at incredible speeds, all the while manipulating them through the battlefield like they were some sort of freaking destructo disc from Dragon Ball Z, his like blood, like little like thing that he would shoot towards people like Choso is so damn fast that Naruto can manipulate it and it moves like a freaking whip. Like you know, like if you were to like swing a whip around a bunch of times, that's how fast Naruto can manipulate that thing. And all he has to do is like wag his finger in the air. And that's something that would have taken Naruto a grand total of like the full freaking 3 years to master. But Naruto got freaking strong. And not to mention, Naruto's gotten even better at manipulating the blood inside of other people, to the point where now Naruto literally only needs to create the smallest little tiniest cut, or say you already have one, you're cooked. Like say you bite your fingernails, right, and there's like a little bit of dry blood, bro, you're cooked. Naruto can use that and just straight up like he's moving on the same timing as that one girl from the Chinoki clan who had that blood jutsu. Like, do you guys remember from that one Boruto movie, or was it Boruto movie or Boruto film? I don't know. But Naruto has that power, and he managed to learn all that. Also getting way freaking better at creating those blood clones. So now Naruto wasn't able to only create 3 or 4, but this man is straight up able to create like 50 clones. Mind you, it's not as crazy as his like multi-shadow clone jutsu because it's actually using real blood. So, you know, if Naruto uses more than that, he might straight up die. But yeah, most of the clones are created out of water, which Naruto has learned how to do, with a specific sect of them being created out of blood, so that when they explode, even though the blood is less diluted, because he's able to create so much more and they're stronger clones, the water explodes along with the blood, making it pretty versatile as a jutsu as a whole. And Naruto's manipulation over blood and just like sensing the blood internally inside of people would be so damn good that the guy might as well be using a Sharingan or like a Byakugan or something like that, because Naruto, much like the Byakugan's like network of like chakra and stuff, can see the network of blood inside of people. So by the time that Naruto would finally return to the village and he and Jiraiya would walk back inside, Naruto would be pulling up straight aura farming with like that, not like a Choso outfit, because I ain't gonna lie to y'all, I don't think that's tough, but more like a jacket, you know what I mean? Like Itadori after the series is over, and you know, he's just chilling there walking the village. The guards being like, hey, who are you? You're not allowed to, until, you know, Jiraiya, you know, he's like walking up behind him, he's like a little bit further. They're like, oh, Jiraiya, we didn't know you were here. Is he with you? Jiraiya nodding, as Naruto would take off his hood and it would be revealed that it's Naruto. Them staring at him would be like, Naruto? Is that you? He's grown a lot. His freaking like jawline is more chiseled. His hair is tied up in like a weird little like ponytail type thing. And Naruto just walks back into the village. And just as this would be happening, we would pretty much see Sasuke and Sakura on a rooftop somewhere talking about things. They had just gone back from a mission not even 2 hours ago, and they were pretty much just catching up, since because Sasuke remained at the village, he would have ended up training under under Kakashi, and he also would have gotten a couple of lessons from Tsunade, helping Sasuke to actually gain some access to medical ninjutsu and a whole lot of lightning stuff. Though he would be slightly a bit slower because he wouldn't get pumped up with all the, you know, narcotics that Orochimaru would have for sure been implanting in Sasuke. Sasuke is still relative to the same level of power that he would be in the original timeline. So when he would spot Naruto from a distance, Sasuke would smirk, then pretty much body flickering right next to him, as he would go on to say something along the lines of, took you long enough, Naruto. Naruto looking at him as he would say, Sasuke, it's been a while since I've seen your ugly mud. Sasuke gritting his teeth as he would tell him that he's doing a whole lot of talking. Naruto smirking as he would ask him if he's planning to leave the village today or tomorrow. Sasuke gritting his teeth as Sakura would get in between the two and say, Sasuke, calm down. This would leave Sasuke to have to listen to her because, you know, at this point they've been dating for like a year and a half. And Naruto would say, whoa, you two finally got together. Took you long enough, Sasuke. Then walking past him, as he would then go on to see a couple of his other like classmates from Konoha, like Shikamaru, Choji, Hinata, you know, Neji, Lee, and everybody has like different reactions to him because of, you know, what they remember him last. But Hinata, just like in the original, would pretty much pass out, leaving Naruto to entering the room with Tsunade, as she would be stunned seeing Naruto, saying that he looks so much different. Him going on to reintroduce himself to Tsunade, and then saying that it's quite a shame he didn't get to train with her during that time skip, asking if that offer's still on the table, saying that Jiraiya taught him a lot, but after about the 2-year mark, there was not really much the guy could teach him. Jiraiya making it into the room as he would say, I heard that, you damn brat, smacking him over the head, as Tsunade would laugh, and she would go on to say that she's glad Naruto's lightened up after all these years. Jiraiya saying that, yeah, at first he was a pain in the ass, but he fixed him up a bit. Naruto rolling his eyes. We would then see Tsunade going on to tell them that she's glad, asking if he's already met his previous teammates. Naruto saying of course he has, to which suddenly Kakashi would arrive at the window and Naruto would say, "Oh, Kakashi sensei, I got a gift for you," handing him like the Make Up Paradise, like the new book, as that man straight up scurries out of that room, immediately going off to do, God knows what. And we would then see Naruto asking Tsunade what the situation of the team's going to be looking like now. Her going on to ask Naruto what he's talking about, saying that he's going to be thrown right back into Team 7, saying that that's actually one of the most potent teams in Konoha. Naruto raising an eyebrow and saying that it's half the members. How's that possible? Tsunade saying that Kakashi whipped Sasuke into shape pretty well. Naruto smirking as he would say, "I guess I'll have to see that with my own eyes." Then, leaving the room as Tsunade would smile and just kind of talk with Jiraiya. Jiraiya, sitting down and getting serious, as he would go on to explain that Naruto is different. Yeah, his personality's changed, he's taller and everything, but don't take him lightly. Naruto is a shinobi the likes that, if he had to describe him in one way, he is a human weapon. Tsunade like raising her eyebrow, she would say, "He's gotten that strong?" Jiraiya looking at her and saying she has no idea. Naruto can kill a man in under 2 seconds. And that's if Naruto takes his time. His jutsu has evolved to the likes of something that it's just an instant kill move. Tsunade saying that will be really good to have now that the Akatsuki are clearly on the move. Going on to talk to Jiraiya about how one of the actual tailed beasts in a neighboring land was just taken. Jiraiya saying that he shouldn't be afraid, especially with them being in the village, Naruto, and if what her stories about Sasuke are true, even Sasuke. Jiraiya and Tsunade talking until they would suddenly be cut off by a crow dropping off a message directly to Tsunade, with her reading it and her eyes going wide. "Jiraiya, call Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura immediately!" Then sending out to go get Kakashi, as Team 7 would be sent on their first mission after all these years. Jiraiya nodding as he would body flicker, and Tsunade would kind of just sit there tapping at the table thinking, if Gaara's been captured, then the Akatsuki are much stronger than we thought. Minutes passing as finally Team 7 would arrive, and she would debrief them on everything that she heard from the land of the Hidden in the Sand. The team then leaving very quickly as getting their things together, they would rush straightly to the direction of the village Hidden in the Sand, arriving to find Kankuro completely unconscious, as Sakura would heal him, and the team would then be informed of Lady Chiyo, who's actually Sasori's grandmother, and would pretty much end up asking to go along the team. Naruto saying that he doesn't want an old hag coming along with them, until Chiyo would show that she's actually not some ordinary old hag. This would now then lead to the team then making their way to the actual base that the Akatsukis were at, as we would see Sakura slam her fist directly against the wall, shattering it completely, and we would watch Sasuke as he would engulf his hand in the Chidori aura and rush directly into the cave, lighting everything up as he would plunge his fist directly into the Shikoho puppet, the outer puppet that Sasori has, destroying it into a million pieces. This then quickly being followed up by Kakashi, who using his Mangekyo Sharingan would then snipe off one of the arms of Deidara, causing him to let out a primitive scowl, as instantly Naruto would walk in behind them, realizing that little team chemistry that they've built over the years is pretty deadly. A wicked smile would appear on Naruto's face as the blood flow within Deidara's body, which was now exposed because he was now losing blood, would then be manipulated by Naruto, saying that they don't need 2 Akatsuki members to interrogate, snapping his fingers as Deidara would blow up from the inside. Naruto mocking Deidara's previous sentiment, because before that would have started, Deidara would have tried to send some clay birds at them to explode, saying artisan explosion or something like that. But Sasuke's Chidori would have completely nullified them, and shortly after the dude would have straight up exploded himself. This would now leave Sasori there, who was being jumped by Kakashi, Sakura, Naruto, Sasuke, and Lady Chiyo, meaning this guy had no chance in hell to survive. And due to the battle playing out way differently than the one that we get in the original, which ultimately would end with Sasori killing himself due to Lady Chiyo's puppets of his parents and him wanting one final embrace and all that stuff, that doesn't happen. Sasori straight up I know I said it changes and I'm literally about to repeat myself, but he kills himself. You guys remember when Kisame was trapped and he literally used his own jutsu to slaughter himself, murder himself with sharks? Sasori does something similarly akin to that, pretty much just blowing up his core, as they would be able to get no information out of him and would then now be left to walk over towards Gaara's body. Naruto, seeing that there was pretty much no active blood in it, just turning back towards his teammates and saying he's dead, saying that it was probably because of his beast was trapped out of him. Naruto turning to Lady Chiyo, who out of all of them would look the saddest. Sasuke doesn't really have like an emotion. Sakura, like, she feels bad because obviously they were there to capture the Kage, and Kakashi, he has his condolences, but he's not necessarily feeling bad. All the while Naruto's just staring at the body of Gaara, and he just remembers that that same kid that was laying on the ground all those years ago, with Naruto not killing him. Him just thinking that he should have ended the job then. At least then they wouldn't have had to come here and waste their time trying to save some dead Kage. That is, until Chiyo would pretty much offer her life up, and the mission would end up being a success. All really just because Chiyo came along. Naruto more than pointing that out more than once, as the team would finally return back to Konoha, and this is when they would discover the death of Sensei Asuma. The team being informed by Tsunade after their successful mission, as we would then have Naruto find out that Jiraiya went on his own mission elsewhere. Naruto not really concerned because, come on, it's Jiraiya. Naruto knows how strong he is. And so, because of this, we would have Naruto and Team 7 basically go along with Team 10, I believe is the team that Asuma was responsible for, as they would go on to try to finally take down those two members of the Akatsuki, Hidan and Kakuzu. The mission beginning with a vengeful Shikamaru creating a plan and strategy, opting for Naruto and Team 7 to primarily distract and deal with Kakuzu, although while he would deal with Hidan. But Naruto honestly wasn't going for that. Naruto told Shikamaru he wanted to help him with his member, saying that it'll be too boring if the full entirety of Team 7 is trying to take down one Akatsuki member. It's overkill, he would say, leaving Shikamaru to roll his eyes and be like, what a drag, as the mission would essentially go down the way that I just said. That said, the moment the battle between Kakuzu and the other half of Team 7 would begin, it would all kickstart with Sakura slamming her fists into the ground, throwing Kakuzu off balance, as two shinobis would rush him from either side, both wielding the Chidori Jutsu. Kakuzu barely managing to block one of them, as Sasuke's Chidori would pierce straight through his chest, destroying one of his hearts, as from that exact same side a mouth would open and blast a flame jutsu at Sasuke, him narrowly managing to dodge this, as Kakuzu would tell them that was a good first attempt, but they're going to be needing to do better than that if they're going to hope to kill him. Engaging in a taijutsu bout with Kakashi, all the while Sasuke and Sakura would make easy work of Kakuzu's extra hearts. This is when we would transition over to Naruto and Shikamaru, who, telling Naruto his plan, would force Hidan to come along with them via using the shadow paralysis jutsu, leaving an impressed Naruto to watch on as Hidan would be taken directly to the trap. And as Hidan would tell him that no matter what he does he won't die, Naruto would smirk, turning to Shikamaru and then holding one hand out, as all of the blood inside of Hidan's body would suddenly explode, leaving blood to start trickling on them like rain, similarly to what Gaara does when he uses his sand coffin. And as the blood would hit the air, Naruto would stick out his tongue, letting some of the droplets fall on him, as Hidan would continue talking, and Naruto would cry out, "Damn, you really are immortal." Hidan laughing and crying out something about how he won't die, and the moment that he gets out of this he'll slaughter them both, as Shikamaru would end up scoffing and then letting off some explosive tags which would bury Hidan completely in the ground, then throwing the cigar down into it, as Hidan's entire body would be covered in a bunch of rubble. Shikamaru having one final tear going down his cheek, as he would finally end up lighting a cigar for Asuma, and at this we would then pretty much just see Naruto watching on, just kind of calculated, understanding that Shikamaru needs this, and for now he should probably just shut up. So after the mission's success would finally be a go, we would see Naruto and Shikamaru make a rendezvous with the rest of the team, as they would finally report back to the Leaf Village that those two members of the Akatsuki were taken care of. Naruto noting that Shikamaru is much more impressive than he let off when they were younger, Shikamaru telling him that with prep time, anybody could really be impressive. Naruto nodding as Tsunade would then go on to tell them that for now, there's really no missions. Naruto then looking at Sasuke as he would tell him that he's been itching for a good fight lately. Sasuke smirking as the two would agree to have a little bit of a fight the very next day. At this, Sasuke would go home, and Naruto would do exactly that as well, arriving to the mess that he would have left there the previous day as he holds out a hand sign and cleans it up in about 5 minutes. After this would take place, Naruto would lay in the bed looking up at a roof, thinking about everything that's taken place over the last couple of years, how he's no longer looked at as the class weirdo. And just as this would hit him, Naruto would sit up, feeling that something strange just happened. All the while on Sasuke's side, there would be a crow with a letter right next to his window, which upon Sasuke reading it, he would end up discovering that Itachi's finally proposed this challenge. And though Sasuke has mostly gotten over all of the scars that Itachi left behind, thanks to having been around Sasuke and Sakura all this time, Sasuke knows one thing. He has to do this. In order to let all of that finally go, he has to kill Itachi. So, in the cover of night, Sasuke would disappear, and nobody would recognize it this time, leaving Naruto to wait for Sasuke at the battlefield where they had promised to fight early in the morning, but finding nothing, rushing to Sasuke's house as he would discover the letter and recognize that Sasuke left. This would piss Naruto off to no ends, since Sasuke could have at the bare minimum told him about that. But Naruto would stare at that letter and simply hope that Sasuke has what it takes to get back alive, saying that if he doesn't, then he didn't deserve to fight him in the first place, walking off and quite literally not telling anybody about this. Not Tsunade, not Sakura, nobody. So as hours would pass and people would finally start noting the disappearance of Sasuke, namely Sakura, who was actually going to be seeing Sasuke after their fight, she would be waiting for him, but nobody would come. So she would visit Sasuke at his house, and that's where she would discover the same letter Naruto did, freaking out and rushing to Naruto's house to ask him for help, but he would tell her that he knows already, saying that Sasuke never showed up to their fight, and that she should be wishing for the best for Sasuke, because right now, he's supposedly fighting one of the strongest members. Naruto remembering his own encounter against Itachi, and remembering how he was completely dismantled, angering him as his fist would tighten, and Sakura would pretty much slap him across the face, saying that he knew, and he still didn't tell Tsunade, her, or anybody else, saying that Sasuke could die right now and he didn't even care. Naruto standing up as he would cry out that he needed to do this, and he's not going to get involved in another man's affairs. Not again, he would say, as he would pretty much just lay back down, and Sakura would start crying, like kind of holding her mouth as to not be loud about it. At this, time would pass, and as two battles would simultaneously take place, that being Jiraiya versus the Paths of Pain, and Sasuke versus Itachi, both fights would go a lot similarly to what we get in the original, what with Jiraiya dying and Sasuke defeating Itachi, only for him to be taken by Obito. This would put the Great Shinobi World War into motion, due to the fact that Sasuke, after discovering the truth about Itachi, would likely still end up joining the Akatsuki, planning to more so this time betray Obito in one sense of the word, but also planning to aid in the goals of the Akatsuki, because that kind of gets him closer to his own goal. Though he does love Sakura, he cares about Kakashi, that village needs to pay. And Sasuke intended on making that happen. So as time would progress with Sasuke in the village simultaneously, we would finally get to the Pain arc. Everything kind of falling into place like dominoes. As Naruto would be inside of his home like relaxing, suddenly the village would come into an explosion. Naruto having all of the things inside of his house blown away as he would stare at it in real time, then getting out from the rubble and looking around at the village to see that it wasn't just his home, it was everything. The village had been reduced to rubble, and he intended on paying back whoever was responsible for this. Looking around and immediately tapping into his strongest form that he would have learned alongside Jiraiya, Sage Mode, as Naruto instantly would connect 2 and 2. There were 6 members in the village that aren't supposed to be here, so Naruto making his way to the first and strongest member, the Diva Path. Naruto would engage in combat, immediately throwing a blow as he would be repelled backwards by a gravitational force Naruto was unaware of, being sent flying into a nearby building, as the path would then go on to call forth reinforcements, and 3 more paths would arrive in front of Naruto, although the rest of the paths would be having their own fights against Konohamaru and Kakashi respectively, since keep in mind, there is 4 paths here and 2 paths there. As Naruto would stand back up, he would glare at them, asking if they're responsible responsible for that and attempting to actually use his blood manipulation to end the battle instantly. But Naruto would note one thing. There's no damn blood flow in these things. Are they puppets, he would think, as a rocket-like missile thing would be sent flying in his direction, and Naruto would counter that by creating a whip made out of blood that would slash it in half, exploding it on contact. Although while a random invisible creature from behind, a chameleon, would wrap its tongue around him. Naruto enraged at this, as he would cause the chameleon itself to blow up, causing all of the blood from inside of it to cause an explosion after slashing at its tongue, creating even the slightest opening. Naruto at this would now be in the air, floating above it all, as he would go on to create a gigantic red Rasengan, slamming it into the ground and onto one of the members of the Paths of Pain, as he would blow up the summoning path. Naruto then being pulled towards him as two metal rods would be jabbed into his leg and forearm. Naruto smirking at the Path of Pain as his blood would explode, revealing itself to be a blood clone, as the path would find it only to be a mere, inconvenience. Because keep in mind, this is a dead corpse. This is not a human body which would react in the same way that other bodies would. It's dead. There's nothing Naruto's blood can do at this. So as Naruto would watch that even his effect of his toxic blood would do nothing, Naruto would think to himself that this is a dangerous opponent. Holding out two hands, as suddenly blood armor would cover Naruto on different spots, appearing a lot similarly to what Madara's armor is like, in a blood red crimson-like color, as out from behind him, Naruto would go on to create two gigantic red shuriken, throwing them to the direction of the Diva Path, as he would send all of that attack flying backwards, and Naruto would barely take any damage from that thanks to his armor. But as Naruto would look up, a hand would be getting closer and closer, trying to drain his chakra. However, Naruto would parry before then slamming a Rasengan directly into the stomach, blood red, as it would explode that path. Naruto then asking if he has any more friends to come out and play, but the Diva Path would know he doesn't, what with the two other paths actually having been destroyed, and Naruto now only having to face off against two more. At this, Naruto would then go on to create two blood whips, sharper than any sword known to man, as he would start swinging them rapidly, trying to kill the Diva Path, but the other path would get in its place, cutting it instead, as Naruto would be sent flying backwards once more, and the Diva Path would tell him that he's more trouble than he's worth. Then, using the attack that causes a bunch of the land and the ground to start amalgamating in one spot, as Naruto would find himself start floating into the air, noting that this attack was dangerous. However, Naruto did recognize one thing. This jutsu had an origin point, and if it had that, then it could be destroyed. So Naruto allowed the earth itself to drag him up, and as Naruto got closer and closer to the detonation point, Naruto would place both hands on the ground, shooting the blood out from him straight into his palms, as it would come out like pressurized water, way stronger than anything that we've ever seen, as from the outside of it, it would come out like red Niagara Falls blood water, exploding the jutsu itself, as Naruto would lunge to the direction of the Diva Path, which would decide that its only act now could be to pull him closer. He won't be expecting that. So dragging Naruto towards him, the Diva Path would impale Naruto, using one of its rods to attempt to kill him, as Naruto would smirk, saying that he missed, using the blood inside of his own body to move his vital organ from that spot, as Naruto would close the wound instantly and then fire a beam of blood directly into the face of the Diva Path, blowing it up as though he had shot a ki blast from his mouth, this leaving a red trail of blood all over the place, as Naruto would smirk, knowing that that damn Diva Path was not that strong after all. After this, Naruto would get up, then staring at those rods and realizing that those must be the receivers. That's how this jutsu operates, and grabbing it and seeking out for the initial owner of this, Naruto would find who was responsible, Nagato, arriving at the base and not waiting for anything. Naruto wasn't here for a heart-to-heart or a nice little talking to. Naruto was here to take care of something, a promise. And so, inching closer to the direction of Nagato, Konan would attempt to actually kill Naruto by causing a massive explosion within the cave to kill him. However, Naruto would be unaffected, because Naruto would have created a blood dome around himself similarly to what Gaara does, as he would step out from it, and Konan's body would start glowing red until ultimately it would explode. Naruto having killed her, seeing as she thought the battle was over, but Naruto took advantage of her standing still and just completely destroyed her internally. Then, getting closer and closer to Nagato, Naruto would ask what could have led him to look so disgusting, as Nagato would stare at him with eyes of just unfeelingness. Naruto staring at him would ask him why he did what he did, and as Nagato would open his mouth, Naruto would kill him, stopping the constant blood transfusion of the machine Nagato was sitting on, as Nagato would draw his final breath, and Naruto, staring at those two eyes that were facing him during that battle, would rip them off of Nagato's course, knowing that the Rinnegan is a very important thing. So, returning to the village and seeing rubble and death and catastrophe, Naruto would think to himself that this place has gone to the gutter. Just kind of staring at a destroyed plank on the ground, as Naruto would then see a small child nearby crying by the death body of his parents. Naruto going over towards him, as he would tell the kid that his dad should be fine, using his jutsu to actually manipulate the blood inside of his dad's body to pump his heart, even though his body had already given up. In fact, Naruto would actually start healing a ton of people in the village, closing his eyes and concentrating at the same level of what he would do with Sage Jutsu, as the Sage energy would leave his body, and as Naruto would sit there, a bunch of the villagers inside of the village would start to have their hearts start again, or stop losing blood entirely. Naruto closing up those wounds, as Naruto knows one thing. He knows what it's like to be an orphan, and though he hates, and he really does mean it, he hates these people from the bottom of his heart, he doesn't want anybody to go through the thing that he had to go through as a child. So, standing back up and feeling good about what he did, but also just disgusted that he'd gone soft, Naruto would stand up, staring at Sakura, who would give him like a half-heart and smiled, as he would go over towards the body of Tsunade, which currently was barely being healed by one of the slugs that she had nearby. And Naruto, knowing that the majority of her injuries are blood-related, Naruto would siphon some blood from the other villagers that could still survive without it and perform a perfect transfusion with Tsunade, giving her more blood and closing off a majority of the injuries, leaving just enough time for Sakura to arrive and perform her medical ninjutsu, helping Tsunade to wake up in only 2 days, which would be perfect considering the fact that now Tsunade, though injured, would still be capable of attending the Kage Summit, which is where everything would finally start aligning more specifically with the original story. What with Sasuke arriving, killing Danzo, the Raikage and Tsunade going back and forth because, they both have two different ways of doing things, Raikage accusing the Hidden Leaf Village of producing a bunch of rogue shinobi, Tsunade telling the Raikage that he's a freaking idiot, yada yada yada, and ultimately leaving Naruto back in the village. Because keep in mind, Naruto wasn't exactly picked as one of the guards in the original, so I don't think that would be the case this time. In fact, I think two of her guards would actually be Sakura and Kakashi, and Naruto wouldn't have actually wanted to go there. So with that being said, there would be no confrontation between Naruto and Sasuke, and that whole interaction between Sasuke trying to kill Sakura or even Kakashi, that stuff would never happen. Instead, we would just have a sad-looking Sasuke staring at the direction of Kakashi and Sakura, with her crying out for him to come home, to not do this, that she thought this was over. But Sasuke would disappear, Obito by his side, as Kakashi would be left there wondering who that masked man was, and we would then just cut back to Naruto laying in his own bed, his house having been finished, or finished constructed, due to the fact that he had used his own clones to, help himself out a lot, as we would see Naruto then staring at his balcony, and there would be Obito Uchiha, who telling him why he's here, and not even taking his time to use that little silly voice, he would blatantly go on to tell Naruto that he has something very important to him, the Rinnegan. Naruto staring back at him as he would tell him to get lost unless he feels like dying today. Obito chuckling as Naruto would attempt to use his blood manipulation jutsu to explode him from the inside, seeing as Obito was just sitting still, but interestingly enough, only one tiny part of Obito was actually there. And Naruto couldn't perform a death-killing blow to him because of that, so Naruto would ask where the rest of him is, Obito going on to reveal that that's for him to know. Naruto glaring at Obito and saying that if he thinks that he's going to give in to his commands just because he can't kill him with blood manipulation, he's out of his mind. So long as his real body isn't there, he can't hurt him either. So they're at a stalemate. Plus, if he kills him, He'll never find out where the location of those eyes are. Obito staring at him and telling him that he's a smart boy. But soon enough, all those smarts won't matter, because at the genesis of his world, Naruto won't be there to see it through. Grabbing Naruto by the throat, as Naruto in that instant recognizing that that part of Obito was now solid, he would go on to cause all of the blood within the ligaments of Obito's hand to explode, leaving Obito angered as he would let go of Naruto, and Naruto would tell him that the instant that he comes back into reality, Naruto will blow him into a million damn pieces. Although Obito would smile under his mask, but really feel rage, just disappearing. Naruto grabbing at his throat as he would think that whoever that man was, he's dangerous. He's possibly the only person who could realistically counter his jutsu. But that's not too bad of a thing, because it seems like he's the only one who can realistically counter his too. Noting that thanks to his blood manipulation, he can sense the instant that the blood flow returns back to Obito. And with that said, Naruto would think about why those eyes are so important to him, as he would test a theory, beginning to scrimmage around his room in order to look like he was about to find the Rinnegan eyes, as Obito would appear once more, and Naruto instantly sensing that Obito had never left, he would use his jutsu immediately to blow up Obito's other hand, causing all of the blood flow inside of it to just explode from the inside. Leaving Obito enraged, who would have to use the Sharingan to re-heal both of those arms and leave them how they were before. Enraged as ever at Naruto, who would tell him that he's not an idiot. He wasn't gonna go scurrying off to find those stupid eyes the moment he left. Obito gritting his teeth as he would materialize himself entirely and begin moving at incredible speeds, causing different parts of his body to disappear every other second, as Naruto would realize that Obito discovered the truth. He realized the weakness to his own jutsu, so as Naruto would start to be attacked from different directions, Obito's body moving so damn fast that Naruto couldn't even register it, Naruto would begin to be beaten down within an inch of his life, laying on the ground as he would stare at Obito, who would appear to just be glitching, because at every moment a different part of him was disappearing and reappearing. So fast Naruto didn't have a chance to use his jutsu, leaving Obito to ask him one more time, where are those eyes? Naruto staring at him as he would spit on his feet and tell him that he can go to hell. He'd rather die than tell him that. Obito being enraged as he would tell him he could arrange that for Naruto, as suddenly time would stop and Naruto would hear the voice of Kurama echoing in his mind, telling him to use his power. That he can't defeat this man on his own, that blood jutsu's hit its limit. Naruto hearing the voice of Kurama and telling him that he won't fall for the fox's tricks, saying that he'd rather die alone with him than to have to rely on his power. Kurama telling him that he's a fool. As Naruto would smile inside of his consciousness, blood covering him even there, with Naruto just staring at Obito, who would be about to deliver the finishing blow, until Might Guy in his 7th gate would arrive and kick straight through the body of Obito, meaning that Obito's final blow couldn't connect. At that moment, Kakashi would arrive as well, and both of them would end up facing off against Obito, eventually managing to crack his mask, as Obito's identity would be revealed, and we would have like that grandeur moment that happened in the original manga. This then leading us to Might Guy saying that he's gonna need to take things up further, with Kakashi telling him he can't do it. But before Might Guy would use his ability of the 8 gates, Obito would lunge towards him, about to kill him, until Naruto, recognizing the single moment Obito would materialize himself once again, he would blow up that arm, enraging Obito, who now would have no choice but to take Might Guy into the Kamui dimension, warp gating him in there in the 8 gate state, as he would go on to try to kill Obito from the inside world, moving fast as ever, all the while Naruto would recognize a change in the air. Obito now had to solidify himself there or here, and the instant he could do it here, Naruto would be capable of destroying his body from the inside out, destroying his blood cells, all the while Might Guy in the inner world would be capable of actually destroying and landing physical attacks on Obito. So as Obito would find himself getting more and more worn down, he would be left with no choice but to choose one side, the Kamui dimension or the real world, leaving Obito to teleport directly into the Kamui dimension, where he would attempt to fight against Might Guy, who using the power of the Might Gates would kill Obito and would ultimately end up dying within the Kamui dimension. since Kakashi would not be able to save Might Guy in any way, and without Naruto's access to the 6 paths powers that the sage would have given him, no healing could be given to him early enough, and he would die, leaving Obito's plan of the 10 Moon Plan to stop, and never having started that Grand Year War, because Orochimaru wouldn't involve himself with Obito, and instead, he would be left to his own devices, all the while the village would be reconstructed and a statue of Might Guy would be laid on the village gates. This leaving us to a 2.5-week time skip, in which case after that time would have finally passed, Sasuke would return to the village. Eternal Sharingan in tow, as he would demand for Tsunade to give to him the title of Hokage, saying that this seat has been covered by blood for generations, and he plans to fix that. As Tsunade would tell Sasuke that he's lost it, telling him that he can't be Hokage, with Sasuke kind of having a saddened but rage-filled expression, attacking Tsunade, both shinobi going at it, with Tsunade activating the 100 healing jutsu and Sasuke making short work from her. That is, until Sakura would arrive. And with both Tsunade and Sakura, 2 of the people that taught him so much over the past few years, facing off against him, Sasuke's will would start to break slowly, until Naruto would arrive, Kakashi would do so as well, and the battle would now be for naught, because Naruto would cause Sasuke's movements to entirely stop, holding out one hand and balling it up into a fist, as Sasuke could feel a lot of his veins inside of his body at that precipice point of knowing what was going to happen if he moved. Sasuke undoing the jutsu of the Sharingan, as he would be taken prison inside of the Leaf Village. This ultimately leading to a Sasuke, having his final revolt play out a lot differently than in canon, but being stopped way more easier, with 2 negatives coming from this. Yes, Naruto is extremely overpowered when it comes to his blood jutsu. Unfortunately though, that blood jutsu isn't always going to be killing every single opponent. So even though he's stronger in a lot of respects to his usual counterpart, in others, he's also weaker. But yeah, that's pretty much where I'm going to be concluding What If Naruto Was Choso's Reincarnation. I thought it was a pretty interesting story. By the end, I was actually planning to do more so of the war arc, but once I realized that events started playing out a little differently after I made low-key the bad decision of Naruto taking the Rinnegan, I was like, well, I made my bed, now I gotta lay with it. So yeah, let me know what you guys thought about this one down below in the comments. I'm super sorry about this one coming out as late as it did. I know I had promised you guys that I would be uploading this way sooner, but if I'm being completely honest and transparent, I was burnt out. I was exhausted. I was tired of making videos. I felt like every time I recorded, it was the same exact video every single time. And that just sucked, right? Because I remember there was a point in time in my life where I would go to my mom's car. That's where I first started making videos, to not bother the family. And I would just sit there and record videos for hours on end, whether it was hot, whether it was cold, and I would just have a blast, just laughing by myself, talking about fictional characters and a world that obviously doesn't exist, and it was just so much different. And now everything just feels so, so corporate, I guess you could say. It feels like sometimes I'm just doing this for a paycheck and it sucks, but I mean, it's unfortunately, now I'm a freaking adult and I actually have to pay bills and it's a lot of freaking money all the time. So yeah, it's kind of hard to avoid, and views are down, all that other stuff. So not really exactly the best time, to be a little what if YouTuber, I guess you could say. I've wanted to maybe try deviating into other content, but every time I think about that, I remember how many of you or how little of you would actually support that. And then I'm just like, damn, it's probably not going to be a good idea. But yeah, no, I'm going to go back to making normal videos. I'm back in the normal headspace. So trust, I'm going to be trying to upload as much as I can. Expect probably 2 to 3 uploads a week. I'm going to be doing more part series. So please do keep up with those, because I know a lot of you guys like to just wait for the movies, but it does help out the channel a ton when you guys actually give, the time of day to those part 1s. It helps me not to have to overwork myself. It helps me see engagement, helps me see comments and stuff like that. And that just keeps me pushing. So yeah, if you guys went on to enjoy this video at any point during it, then do me a huge favor, hit the hype button, because it'll help this thing do so much better in the algorithm. Hit the like button, because you know why. And if you're not subscribed, then you don't have notifications on. What the heck are you waiting for? Turn those on. But yeah, shout out to the person who commissioned this video. It has been your boy Xehther, and I am out. Peace.